Are you ready?
Are you ready?
We're men, and we're not afraid to say that we love other men.
What up, G?
My life is nothing I thought it should be and everything I was worried it would become, because for 50 seconds I thought there was monsters on the world.
What Augean stable of misery do you live in if you fantasize about driving a bus or sitting on a bench? What's next, a breakfast eating simulator? Oh, careful not to burn your digital toast. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go play an office simulator. Oh, no wait, that's my job.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis. What? This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Don't say no for an answer. There's no
Can I see more white women getting clotheslined, please?
People don't understand. People don't understand. People like me. 'Cause these eyes can see right through you. Don't be surprised.
So Snoop Dogg wins the match because Shane McMahon blew his knee out.
Damn, that was bad, bro.
People don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here. It's been 2 weeks since we've done this show. I took a little vacation, if you can call it that, off of streaming last week, but we're here. We're back. And it's a little bit different tonight because, as you can tell, we're not on X this week. It was because apparently on the week that I was gone, a new rule through StreamYard, I found out about how apparently you have to have a premium account in order to stream on Twitter. And I don't see the point of paying an additional $8 a month just so I can stream the shows on Twitter. And I don't have enough impressions to get paid for the thing. So it just didn't seem like a very functional thing. So we're here on Twitch tonight. I didn't know that I was still on Twitch, but apparently we're here on Twitch. So we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're here on Rumble, all three platforms here tonight. But this is going to be a big show. This is going to be a big show. I'm gonna put it to you this way: Google is not going to like us after tonight because we're going to talk about all the things that Google does not want us to talk about. We're going to come to some conclusions that Google is not going to allow us to come to. But guess what? We're going to do it anyway, and we're going to do it here with the most shadiest group of characters I can possibly rail up for this episode. First, our good buddy Orange Hat, who's joining us here with his Steve Austin redneck trucker hat. How you doing today, Steve?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. How y'all doing?
Mm-hmm. Give me a hell yeah. What?
Huh? And I can do Dead Trucker too.
Also joining us here is our good buddy Cider. How are you doing? Are you still melting currently?
Why is it so hot? I live in like a really like high temperate zone. I'm near the Arctic Circle. Why is it so hot? It's like
Okay.
88 here. I want to die.
Okay, look, I get you're in Maine, but whenever someone tells me that, oh my God, I'm hot, it's like, dude, I live in like Georgia. Like Georgia is like unbearably like humid and hot, and
Well, I
literally
don't doubt it.
I literally poured out an entire like bucket full of like water all onto the street. It dried up in like 2 minutes. That's how
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. But I live somewhere where it gets. I live somewhere where it gets up to 80, and that's a rarity. It gets up to 90, they close schools. Like, they send kids home when it hits 90 around here.
Fucking pussies.
No, dude, we can't have that. We get negative 20 here in the winter, man. That's where it goes. Like, that's my comfort
50.
zone. Yeah.
We get negative 50 here.
Is there a lot of school in July?
Nights.
A lot of school? Yeah, actually, because of the kids that screw up.
There's a lot of stupid people in Maine.
Yeah. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. It has the highest dropout rate in the nation. So
nice. Also joining us here is our good buddy Eddie Brock, who's back with us. How you doing tonight, Eddie?
Knees, balls, wings, thighs. I'll take anything in the face for Twitch today.
Oh yeah, Twitch will be a very breast-free zone here tonight, unfortunately. So yeah,
thank God.
And then, of course, our good buddy Rob is back here again. How you doing, Rob?
I'm good, and just did a 3-hour live stream that at the last minute got taken off of YouTube for playing a clip of a movie, which I thought always was like fair use, but whatever. I don't know.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't allow anything there's so many things that you can't play on YouTube because you'll get like automatically strike. Like try playing like 5 seconds of anything from the WWE and then watch your entire stream get nuked immediately.
You're already canceled for mentioning the WWE. You understand? That's how it works now.
And I realized like I'm years like down the road from people that have been bitching about fair use in YouTube. So I mean I get it, but it's like this is terrible. And I'm sure that's what people have been saying for years.
Well, I just want to say this is the miracle of AI generated content right now. Because of the Wild West and there's few restrictions on how to use it, you could generate music now and the audio to go with it. And apparently now you can do mouth tracking. So you can record yourself talking and the AI will record that down onto the face that it has generated for you. It blows my mind. So you can create your own movie now, your own intro. You could be Luke Skywalker if you want to. You just do it all yourself now. Screw Kathleen Kennedy. Just do it in your basement, in your underwear, dude. You don't even have to have your pants on to make a Star Wars movie now.
Yep. Not anymore. Not with Unreal Engine 5.4 or whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah, right? That's nuts,
dude. Oh my God.
So we're here live on all 3 platforms right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and shoot up some of our people. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because it's probably a bad week for that joke. Yeah, it's probably a bad week.
Tonight.
It was a great show.
Wow. Bang bang.
8 minutes in, and we're already coming with the heat. So our good buddy Keith is over there on our Rumble side of things right now. We obviously have Spencer joining us here on tonight's show. We're saying, what the hell, hurry up. It's like, just shut up. We'll get to you in a second. Neozoic is back. He has a question for all of us here. He says that, which patriotic film would you rather watch? Independence Day, Top Gun, or Forrest Gump? Or I guess you have Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. That's a very assorted list of films there. I'll start off with you, Rob. Which one would you pick as your patriotic hell yeah movie?
Let's see. Ooh, they're all bad except Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So that one, that good? Yeah, let's do that.
Says the illegitimate son of one or Siskel or Ebert.
I mean, I would hope my mother would have better taste than that, but you know, it was probably literally 35 years ago. So
it depends if Rob's balding anytime soon.
Yes.
He's been there for a while.
Guys, it's kind of crazy. Stuff happened a while ago now, Like, it didn't just happen, like, a little bit ago. It happened a while ago now. It's like, wow, like, that was a while ago.
I think most recently we were talking about how all of that just had their 30-year, I guess, anniversary of the first season on
Why?
Nickelodeon was
God.
1994. So if you were a kid watching it back there, it's been a whole 30 years since that show's been on there. So which means that everyone who's on that show is like late 40s, early 50s at this point. So it's like, yes, you are officially old. Deal with it.
Is
That's what I
Kel
think.
Mitchell
sad
even
fuckers.
still alive?
He is. He's still kicking. I think he's like
didn't kill him yet.
I think he's still a minister somewhere in like California right now, but yeah, he's still kicking. 45 years old. There you go. I would pick. You talk about. I mean, it's hard to top the speech from Independence Day if you're going for like a patriotic movie. Like it's such a nonsense like type speech. But I mean, you play it 2 minutes and you're automatically like all in on it. Like the rest of the film, maybe not as too great. I mean, like things exploding and then like the dog like running through the subway in order to be safe. Some of it's really stupid. But I mean, as far as patriotic goes, I mean, Top Gun. You don't really get too many patriotic moments out of that one. Forrest Gump, I definitely wouldn't throw in that one. And then I think Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is probably a little too old school for anyone watching this one. So yeah, that's what I would go with there. And then bonus.
I'm just gonna give you a curveball. The first Transformers movie, because that was patriot. Like Obama got drugged through the mud in that movie, okay? Like, it doesn't get any more patriotic than that movie. Like, I think Optimus Prime's standing in front of the American flag at some point, too. So, it's great.
Out of those movies, I would which movies were they again?
Independence Day, Top Gun,
Top Gun.
Yeah,
because if you think about it, the Independence Day result was a world or New World Order government. So that's not patriotic whatsoever. But if you really want my personal choice of patriotic film, The Patriot.
Yep. An Australian man portraying an English colonist rebelling against the English crown on behalf of the United States. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, you fucking what me, mate? Oh, like that's British. Never mind.
No,
right.
I bought the 4K Blu-ray so I would have a 4th of July, and I watched it on 4th of July. So there you go.
Right?
Did you watch the extended edition?
Yeah.
Good.
I love how much sense Hollywood makes. We'll get a British man to play the most famous American superhero in the world. Makes perfect sense. A British underwear
and he
model
kills
at
somebody
that.
with a tomahawk. So yeah, he's American and Native American too.
Oh yeah, Mel Gibson. Yeah, that's true. Right, he did that. He did that. Yeah.
Also, a bonus question here: favorite Chevy Duvall movie? Is anyone not going to pick The Shining? Is anyone?
I'll take Popeye.
Those are the only two movies I know that she was in.
So I guess,
yeah, I mean,
I guess that answers your question.
She worked with Robert Altman a lot, which I don't blame you for not knowing Nashville or whatever, Brewster McCloud or Three Women. But yeah, it's The Shining. That's the defining performance
Nashville.
of her career. But,
That woman went, I believe, into nuts after that movie.
no, that's an urban legend.
Oh, all right.
Well, I mean,
Well, I'm glad
she
it
didn't go.
is.
She didn't go like permanently nuts. Like she wasn't like in a psych ward or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure that she had a lot of the traumatic experiences working with Stanley Kubrick, who may or may not have done the moon landing.
No, that's not true. It's like that. That's the urban legend, by the way, that she was traumatized by Stanley Kubrick. She was not.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Stanley Kubrick was an angel.
Yeah, no.
Maurice.
I don't
Robin
even like
Williams
The
was
Shining, but-
Popeye.
Yeah.
A quick little thing about The Shining before we move on here, real quick. It's like I think that this well known that Stephen King hates that movie because he hated like Kubrick's direction. So then he tried to do his own sequel called Mr. Sleep, which I unironically hated even more than The Shining did. It's like, look, just accept the fact that he did a better movie than the vision that you originally laid out. It's like, no, sometimes you just gotta take the L. But then again, we're talking about Stephen King, and that
Stephen
is what it
King's
is.
a pedo.
He's
Only
a
a pedo writes, or only a pedo writes the ending to it.
I'm pretty sure. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say Stephen King is one of the most insufferable. Like he constantly elevates whatever the Democratic Party is saying, like about Trump and it's just like, do you not think for yourself on any level? Like I actually grew up reading Stephen King, so but you realize especially if you like movies, how many terrible decisions like he's responsible for. You know what I mean? And so he has no idea what makes a good movie either. You know what I mean? So he'll promote like the biggest piece of crap probably because he was paid to. So he's one of those people I just stopped listening to back in 2016.
There's a lot of those people. We'll get to them in a bit.
Yeah.
Every time that jackass went across my Twitter line or Twitter timeline, I would always remind him that he wrote a CP scene in it.
Every time he's trending, I post that.
It's like, dude, you wrote this, and people call it art. You're sick. Get help.
Yeah, well, going back here, we're going to go back to our chat real quick. Vanya's joining us here tonight. We got Neozoic, obviously. Spencer's in the chat. Cassie stopping by saying, hell to here's to hoping this one doesn't get taken down. Yeah, good luck with that. Who else do we have going here tonight? Nova Fett's here with us. Oh, we're talking about the topics that we're going to be talking about here tonight. We may or may not be cool, but I'm ready to push the boundaries on YouTube. So I say, hell with it. It's like Cassie's here. Everyone's here. Yep, Cider is back here tonight. Cassie says that her hatred of white women knows no bounds. Well, I don't know what story we're going to start off with here tonight. Back on Twitch because that motherfucker ain't decorated. Yeah,
I hate white women. The only thing me and Cassie have something in common with.
That's English. Yep. That was good English right there, Eddie.
Alston 316 for Alex versus Evil. Spencer is calling out your complaints about being hot because he's in Arizona and Arizona's too hot.
It is.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is.
No, Cider really is living the England meme about the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a National Lampoon movie where they cooked a steak on a rock in Arizona?
Yep.
I've literally gone to the last time I was in Glendale, Arizona. I literally walked outside and fried an egg on the street. It was so hot.
Are you skipping Leslie? She feels very skipped.
I haven't even gotten to Leslie yet. What are you talking about skipping her for?
Oh, because she's in the chat, like saying, "I feel the hate tonight." You know,
Leslie is a treasure, man. You fucking show her respect.
She'll get the respect that she deserves. Who else do we got here?
Showing up late.
Yeah, see, there we go. Leslie Tarkin finally got to your comments over there.
She said she left the chat. Might be too late.
Adios, goodbye. Who else do we got here tonight? DK's coming here saying you got guts challenging Ted Cruz.
Oh wow, yeah.
You remember when Ted Cruz was a thing? Everybody remember that?
We will never surrender.
190,000 attendees through
Zodiac Ted.
Spencer lives on the surface of the sun. That Smash Mouth said, might as well be walking on the sun. It's about Arizona sidewalks. Yeah, surprisingly enough, Flagstaff is pretty cool during this time of the year. So if you want to live in Arizona, and not
Smash Mouth,
I don't.
Yeah, he died. I think like last year.
Yeah.
Well, now
he's
unexpectedly, you know.
Yeah.
Obligatory somebody. Okay.
Yep.
Oh shit.
He did the melancholy one though, because he's dead.
Told me the world is macaroni. No. The answer is no, Alex. Absolutely not. Let's just say Popeye, The Shining, obviously. Robin Williams was in Popeye. Duvall was in Metal Goose and the Rhyme. Anyone remember it? One of the top 80s bands was in it. Rob said, "Shut up, I know it." Never watched The Shining, but I've seen Shawshank Redemption. Stephen King thought that the revised ending for The Myth was a good idea. That's how nuts he was. Yeah, I mean, Stephen King is well past whatever he had at one point in time. Let's put it that way. Leslie. Yeah, we're just bearing Leslie tonight. That'll be the theme. Besides, the Trump stuff.
Speaking of Trump stuff, I got something for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
So, there was a picture of a banana posted in the Discord, and it had a bit of peanut butter on the top of it. And I said, I recognize that hairstyle, and this happened.
Yeah, it's your boy Big Pella. What's up? Mama for life. Mama blowing fools away.
Make America bananas again.
Every day. Mama top banana sway. Mama don't lead the way.
Okay, that's not as much as I can take of that right now. So we will talk about the Trump stuff. We will talk about the Trump stuff later on here, but I want to go ahead and get through some of the more milder topics of tonight's show before we go absolutely nuclear on the last half of the show.
Hold on. Milder stuff. Like Alec Baldwin getting away with murder? That's milder?
Milder compared to where we're going.
Baldwin, man.
By comparison, yes.
Please start with Baldwin. I want to fucking rage.
Nope.
Milder, like potentially Jack Black being completely wiped away from Hollywood now.
You know, this is why I smoke weed, right, guys? Because so I don't rage all the time.
But no, we're gonna let you guys simmer here for first, because first we're gonna start on a bit of a somber note because Shannen Doherty passed away over the weekend. I know that was probably the lesser known story that hit this week based on everything that went down. But yeah, Shannen Doherty passed away after a 9-year battle with breast cancer. So she was actually diagnosed back in 2015. At the time, I believe she went into remission about a couple of years later, but then the cancer came back with a vengeance. She had been fighting it pretty hard for the last 5 years or so, and has been doing a lot of movies, podcasts, stuff like that, trying to raise awareness of her condition. But she finally lost her battle this Saturday. For some of you older folks here, or some of the people in my age range, there's a few shows and a few projects that she's been in that you probably remember her from. If you remember Beverly Hills 90210, Charmed, Heathers, Mallrats. There's a multitude of things here, but yeah, she just passed away this weekend. Shannen Doherty, 90210 star, who, by the way, now it's like her and Luke, what was his name? Perry are both dead now. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Her career was reeled by illness in the last 10 years. She died at the age of 53. It was a public statement from her publicist saying that, the devoted daughter, sister, aunt, and friend was surrounded by her loved ones with her dog, Bowie. The family asked for their privacy at this time, so they give peace to grieve here. Shannen Doherty, unfortunately, did not have any children. I think she was married maybe about 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that one of her was just recently finalized. So, but yeah, she passed away. Everyone that's seen her in a multitude of shows. I mentioned some of the shows that she was on during this time period. She was originally born and raised in Memphis, moved out to LA to become an actor. Was a child actor for a number of years. Like I said, Heathers was one of her big breakout roles. Got a role into a hit television show in the 1990s called Beverly Hills 90210. I think by that point, most of you guys probably know the story. She was on the show for the first 4 seasons of that, and then she ended up getting fired from the show, mostly due to a on-set feud that she had with Jenny McCarthy at the time period. There was also reports of her unprofessionalism because she was basically showing up late and hungover to the shoots, and apparently the people got very, very tired of it. However, the executive producer of the show, what's his name? Something Spelling.
Aaron Spelling.
Aaron Spelling. Aaron Spelling was still a very, very big fan of Shannen Doherty, so he gave her another chance with a show that came out in 1998 called Charmed. She was on that show with Alyssa Milano and Holly Marie Combs. That show lasted several years, but once again, same story here. She was only on the first 3 seasons of that show, and then she ended up getting fired from that show due to a behind-the-scenes feud with Alyssa Milano. It got to the point where it was like, you're going to choose Alyssa or you're going to choose Shannen. They figured that Alyssa was far more marketable at the time, so they ended up getting rid of her. At that point, her career pretty much bombed out because she had gotten kicked off of not 1 but 2 highly successful television shows, built a reputation of being difficult to work with, and not much happened after the fact. She kind of dwindled away, but she came back for one of the reunions that they did for 90210, and like I said, her story the last 10 years has basically been about her cancer battle, I should say, over the last several years, and she finally did pass away last Sunday. So sad news there. I'll go ahead and start this one off with our good buddy Eddie, because Eddie remembers Shannen as one of his first celebrity crushes. So what's your thoughts on Shannen Doherty passing away?
This is a sad, sad day for America, and not just for whatever's going on in the world, but this particularly because Shannen Doherty, for legitimate purposes, I mean, I was a young child at the time, but I remember she was a primo A+ sex symbol back in the 90s, and she was like unbelievable, like, wow, man. And then she got on Charmed, and it was like I was like trying to, like, you know, because I was into like Sabrina the Teenage Witch at the time, so I was like, try this Charmed. And I absolutely loved it. She was like fantastic in that too. My whole thing for her though is Mallrats. Like I absolutely love her in Mallrats. She's like the perfect like prissy little comic book chick or whatever geeky nerd chick. It's sad, but I'm glad that at least she's not suffering anymore. She did have cancer, so you don't want to keep that going, or at least keep that kind of pain happening. And yeah, every single time I see a brunette, I have to say, Brenda. That's a thing now.
So somebody had reposted the whole joke from Mallrats, where it's like, oh, but she's playing a different character, and then the guy standing there, he's like, Brenda, and she's like, you dick. And
that's the entire thing. Everybody's like, Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
Every single brunette I know, I do all the time. Brenda.
Yep. Rob, what's your take on Shannen Doherty?
She's fine. I don't know. I really have no opinion on. I mean, I know she had a reputation as being a bitch and difficult to work with, kind of a diva without any kind of a movie star talent. But yeah, no, I mean, I have nothing. Again, I have nothing bad to say about her because she really wasn't in a whole lot that I watched. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I watched some like reruns of Charmed occasionally, like because it played, I think, on TNT.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's still playing on TNT.
Yeah, fair. It's fair. But I never watched like the whatever it was called, Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, I did see Mallrats quite a bit because I like Kevin Smith's work when I was younger. But so yeah, she was definitely good in that. She kind of forces Jason Lee's character, I think his name's Brody, to kind of grow up and get his shit together because he needs to, So, but yeah, no, it's always sad when someone goes young like that. Obviously she was battling cancer for a while, and it's difficult to lose anybody, much less somebody who had more life to live. So it's sad. It sucks. Rest in peace.
I'll go with orange and cider here on this one.
I only saw her in Charmed. I mean, I saw a couple of things of 90210, not too much, but it was a little bit above my age, so to speak, at the time. So yeah, I only saw her in Charmed, and you know what? I thought she was very good in Charmed. I didn't know any of the behind the scenes stuff because I was a fucking kid at the time. But yeah, I think she did good. But I will say that I wish she had died young, and it sucks that cancer. My grandfather plus others have died from cancer, so it kind of hits me a little bit harder than most. I mean, I hate it when anybody dies from cancer. So yeah, it's sad that she went from cancer.
Yep. Cider.
This is the thing that we need to remember about this is we're going to see more of this happen, unfortunately. I have a rule, and it's not meant to sound evil, but it comes off a little rough. It's not if you get cancer anymore. It's when you get cancer. How bad will it be? That's the thing now, and that Shannon's case is tragic because she died very young, but it's going to continue to repeat. I guarantee you're going to hear more and more about younger stars ending up with this, not just because of what happened with our good friends in Wuhan, but also because we all suddenly have microplastics in our balls, And that's now a thing that we all just have to know and understand about ourselves. And so Shannon's case, though, right? Shannon's case, though, she ended up paying a price that is probably unfair, even though she was difficult to work with. Death is kind of a bit of an overkill for that kind of behavior, and so that's sad. But I'm with Rob. It's one thing to have a celebrity crush like Eddie, but I don't. She was a nice lady on camera, and she did that really neat magical bitch slap thing that made all the bad things fly away. And that's all I really knew about her, is that she'd just do the pimp slap and all the bad stuff would go away. And that's because like in chat, I was just like 14 or whatever when that show was on, and I was like, boo.
Yeah, we were at that special age.
Yeah, very special age where a low
See, I
cut
was in
shirt
that
makes all the
to that point.
difference.
I was in that special age when Beverly Hills 90210 was out, so you can see where I was coming from.
Yeah, so there you go. Right?
Exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah, she's not special. She's just pretty. That's all you had to be
No,
back then.
she was
You
a
just had to be
Hollywood
pretty.
kid, Leslie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, she was a Hollywood kid, not a Disney kid.
Yeah,
She was
no,
one of the fuck Disney girls.
she was like straight into the business at a young age. Like I said, there's a lot of sad aspects, in her life, especially like those last few years. Like I said, she was one of these kids that we talked about it so many times. We kind of mentioned this when we were talking about like the Pearl Maxine series a couple of weeks back, how she's one of these kids, small town, and not Memphis small. I mean, it's not small attachment, but where she was from wasn't a big town. And she goes out to Los Angeles, try to find her dreams of being an actress in LA. Gets booked in a couple of hit TV shows. Can't really handle the fame that's attached to it at a young age. Maybe she had a very bad attitude working with people. Like I said, she got basically kicked off of not one but 2 hit shows, which built her the reputation. And it's like, hey, look, we just can't do anything with like this girl because she's always going to end up causing a problem. That didn't help her matters. She never exactly had the right history with men. Like I said, 3 marriages, all of them failed for the most part. No kids, so it's like no real legacy to like leave down and anything like that. Plus, she was dealing with a pretty aggressive form of cancer for like basically the last decade of her life. So I said there's like a lot of sad instances when it comes to Shannen Doherty. But I mean, as an actress, I thought that she was I think she was talented. Like I said, I think her ego kind of got into a way of a lot of situations too. I think she kind of like admitted that like later on in life as well. And fortunately, for the most part, I think she kind of like mended her fences with a lot of people, except for maybe Alyssa Milano. I'm not sure if those two ever really reconciled to any real degree there.
Did anybody ever reconcile with Alyssa though? That I don't think anybody ever has.
Yeah,
Did Alyssa ever reconcile with Alyssa?
Valid.
Yeah. And like I said, I know she reconciled with Jenny Garth and like they got all over like all of their issues. But like I said, Alyssa's the one that a lot of people like. Here's the thing, and it's kind of funny how things work. 25 years ago, when that show was on the air, when Shannen Doherty left the show, the whole narrative is that she was the bitchy one and Alyssa was like the lovable one. And look how fast things change after 25 years. Now everyone's realized, no, maybe Alyssa was the problem the entire time, and we just backed the wrong horse. And that seems to be, because if you look at it, out of all the girls who were on that show, her, Holly Marie Combs, was it Rose McGowan? None of them really have anything good to say about Alyssa, but they all had great things to say about Shannen. So it's like, maybe she wasn't really the problem the whole time. Maybe there was actually something else going on there.
Oh, we got to talk about that one too.
They took her off of Who's the Boss when she turned 12. That should tell you something. Even Tony Danza couldn't deal with her.
She was probably outing people.
There was a lot of stuff going on behind that time. So yeah, look, like I said, it sucks that she's passed away. Like I said, all the thing you can hope is that she found Christ and that she mended her fences on the way out, and she had enough time to do it. So hey, maybe she's in a better place. Hope for the best, but like I said, it sucks when you know someone. And like I said, I think everyone has dealt with someone, either recently or in the past who suffered with some form of cancer. No matter how aggressive it is, people are probably still fighting it to this day. And like I said, it's rough and it sucks. But look, she held out for a long period of time there. So maybe there's something like in that in and of itself. So rest in peace to Shannen Doherty. Yes. Hopefully you won't have to see Melissa Milano in heaven either. I'll just throw that in there. Now we can go ahead and talk about
Parker Posey goes. I'm gonna snap.
Just and like of all the places. Good. No, now we can go ahead and talk about the story that Orange Hat loves right now. Our good buddy Alec Baldwin got off literally on a technicality. That's the best way to describe exactly what happened here.
Got off like OJ.
Exactly. He was on trial for involuntary manslaughter, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, the case was completely dismissed after the judge found out that the prosecution withheld evidence regarding the case. So it is crazy how this one turned out. This was about a few days ago, but Alec Baldwin's trial for involuntary manslaughter, if you guys remember, he was shooting a film, Rust, one of the films that he was privately producing at the time period. All of a sudden, he fires a gun at one of the cinematographers, kills her. Everyone's asking the question, how the hell did a live round get on set to begin with? Like, isn't the whole purpose of being in movies is to not have live rounds? turns out the armorer was a complete amateur who probably shouldn't have gotten hired in the first place. But guess who was the producer of the movie, which means that he probably had a hand in hiring someone who wasn't qualified, Alec Baldwin. So they tried to get him on a few charges here, but then out of the blue, the judge here presiding over the case in New Mexico said that bullets particularly linked to the death of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins can be found favorable to Baldwin's case was not shared by his lawyers, by the police, and the prosecutors. The A-list immediately bursted into tears after it found out that his case had been completely dismissed. And I don't even think they can retry him here. So I don't think this is a situation where they can retry him. I know Orange has been following this a lot closely than I have, but if he was found guilty, he was looking at 18 months in prison, but it was abruptly tossed out in sensational scenes. The state was willingly withholding information, was intentional and deliberate. If this contact does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes to near bad faith, is to show signs of Scrooging prejudice, said the judge in the case. The court concluded that the conduct was highly prejudicial for the defendant. It also says here that Baldwin was holding the gun in the direction of Hutchins during a rehearsal in the 2021 shooting with the gunfire, killing her, wounding her. Obviously, the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez, she was sentenced earlier this year to 18 months in prison for her role of the whole thing. Baldwin was chasing the same charge, but because of this evidence that was withheld and basically got caught by the prosecution, the whole case got thrown out. Baldwin is a free man. And I mean, it looks like this whole thing is behind them. I don't know if there's still going to be any kind of like civil case or any kind of like settlement going on with this. I assume that there will be to some extent if there hasn't already been. But yeah, Alec Baldwin, after this whole 3-year saga, he's officially a free man walking around, possibly recklessly shooting people later in the future. Maybe. Orange Hat, like I said, no, this has been your bread and butter over the last several weeks. So we'll start this one here with you. What is your thoughts on the events that led to Alec Baldwin becoming a free man, getting off, and quite literally a technicality?
One, I'm keeping it toned down for the sake of this stream, folks.
Yeah, save it for the Trump stuff. We haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, trust me, it will get there. But this also pisses me off because, yes, I've been covering this since day one of the Alec Baldwin shit, or ever since that shit hit the media. And a lot of people are like, actors don't have culpability, pulling the trigger, yada. It's like, motherfuckers, if you paid attention to anything, you would have known he was also an executive producer. He also was part of the crew to make the film. He was skipping safety drills for the weapons. This man created every single aspect of the accident that happened. Now, I am not saying that he got away with murder. I will maintain that he did not get away with murder. However, he did get away with killing somebody. He killed Helena Hutchins. It is a fact that he did. However, he is not guilty of it. He can't be found guilty. They dismissed it with prejudice, meaning he can never be retried. The fact that this man is crying about this, about being or getting away with killing somebody, and his family or his wife was also crying at the court. The fact that the fucking prosecutor flubbed this up to this degree, went on the stand, which is absolutely unheard of in a court, folks. The prosecutor went on the stand herself and fucking admitted this shit. And yes, I will give them props for integrity. They maintained the integrity of the court by admitting that they withheld evidence. However, the fact that they withheld it, that bitch should be disbarred. However, she doesn't have to be disbarred now because she resigned. I think that she should absolutely be banned from practicing law in the state of New Mexico. What happened is a life was taken. A person or two people plus many others were responsible. Alec Baldwin knew that shit was not right on that set that day. People were complaining. Union workers were walking off sets. There was so many fucking problems that day. People were plinking, target shooting with that same fucking gun with live rounds that day And somebody almost got shot earlier in the same day that Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza got shot. And yet they didn't see fit to stop the production, to do an investigation. And yet this motherfucker, after he kills somebody, calls up his wife moments after it happened. We can't get our money back, so get on the plane. We're going to go out and have fun tonight. That level of psychopathy and sociopathy mixed together, this man does not deserve to be in a fucking movie. He does not deserve to be in a fucking sitcom about his family. He deserves to be in a fucking jail cell for 18 months complete. No freaking early release, none of that. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed showed her narcissism when she during the sentencing. And the judge also called out her narcissism in her jail calls. Alec Baldwin is far worse than Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. He was not doing his safety drills, and because of that stupidity, he took a life. He should be held accountable for it. Unfortunately, that woman's son will not grow up with his mother. He will not be able to talk with his mother about things that only a mother can teach their kids. That kid the fucking husband is a piece of shit. He put a fucking monetary value on his wife's life, taking money in a settlement, and he gets a producer credit on the film too. That man is a fucking loser, as far as I'm concerned, the husband. I have no sympathy for him. The sister and the mother who lived in Ukraine, I feel the worst for them because, I hope that they fucking civilly sue Alec Baldwin. He can be sued civilly. And I hope that he fucking loses every goddamn dime. Whoa. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for Alec Baldwin's kids. I feel sorry for that tramp Hilaria. Well, actually, no, I don't really feel sorry for her because she's just as much of a fucking narcissist as her piece of shit husband. But this fucking pisses me off to the point where I couldn't even do direct videos about him being. I had to relegate it to fucking live streams that I did because I was that pissed, folks. I have a playlist of the Alec Baldwin stuff, and I couldn't even do a fucking video to express how pissed off I am. I had to relegate it to a short just to freaking do a little, or let you guys know a little bit. But man, I am beyond pissed because this man killed a woman, blamed her for it in an interview, lied in the interview, and then the fucking prosecution acted in such an illegal way that they fucking got the damn thing dismissed with prejudice. So congratulations, New Mexico. You fucking suck.
New Mexico, same as old Mexico, as I would like to
and
say.
As well, and for fucking Alec Baldwin, motherfucker, you deserve to be blacklisted from Hollywood. Fuck you.
So Alec Baldwin fits in perfectly with modern Hollywood. He's not getting blacklisted from that industry. Cider, you still there? Can't see Cider's face. He might not be.
Yeah,
here
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
I just muted so I didn't cough or hear my lighter flick while I'm smoking or whatever,
All right. Well, I just wanted to ask you, have you been following anything about the Alec Baldwin situation, and what's kind of your take on the whole situation?
I'll make it really quick. So Alec Baldwin killed 2 people. Nobody put out a rap song about it. Nobody championed this. Nobody said he was really cool. Trump got shot in the air. People are ready to conquer the planet in his name, maybe the universe in his name. So let's just make that comparison clear. And I think that's all you need to know about this case.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. Short to a point. Rick, I know you just got here. We haven't spoken to you in 44 minutes. So what is your take on the Alec Baldwin situation?
I'm used to people not speaking to me for 44 minutes, so it's okay. And it's 109 degrees in El Paso, just for the record. I haven't been following the case, but I will say that I feel terrible for the victim and her family. they're going to endure this for the rest of their lives. Alec Baldwin will have, I guess, something of a comeback. Eventually, people's memories fade. I don't think he will be ostracized.
Do you think that he'll be back on Saturday Night Live doing his terrible Trump impression before the election's over?
Yes. It's a shame though that Alec Baldwin and the Donald won't be sharing a prison cell because both of them will be going to prison. I feel terrible that we're not going to get more of that comedy. But again, he'll make a comeback. I don't know if this movie will ever be released. I don't think it will. I will say that Orange does have a point. I think that it would, if it's possible, sue him civilly because he did, from what I understand, take a life and did not follow the correct procedures as per what is it? I don't know if it's union regulations, but probably the correct procedures and safety
standard
measures.
safety regulations.
Yeah,
standard safety regulations.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. So you can make a civil case, and the way that O.J. Simpson was also sued civilly and filed liable for the deaths, and I think we can do that here. I don't know what will happen, but again, always we have to remember it's not really about Alec Baldwin, whether you say he got away with a crime or not. I don't know enough about the case. I do know that there is a dead woman here who should not be dead because apparently procedures were not followed, and there's a family that's going to grieve their daughter, their mother. That's what we should always remember. I feel bad for them.
Yep. Like I said, given the circumstances behind what happened, like I knew like any kind of like murder charge was just not going to work. Like there was no realistic way that they can get that. But talking about extreme negligence, obviously, because like I said, he was the person who was involved as the producer. He put a lot of these people in charge. And obviously the situation that he built on the set led to this whole death happening in the first place. So I think manslaughter was a fair charge. But like I said, the prosecutor, in one of the most high profile cases, probably one of the biggest high profile cases of the year. Like I know it's not the Johnny Depp case by comparison, but it still is Alec Baldwin. It's still talking about a high profile Hollywood death that happened here on a film set, one that we haven't seen in quite some time. And for them to fumble it in the manner that they did, it's just like, it's almost astounding to the point where, and we'll talk about this later on here today, I feel like, is it really incompetence at this point, or is there something else going on behind the scenes here? Because it feels like either we're just run by the stupidest people in human history, or someone's fumbling the ball on purpose. Let's just put it that way.
No, we are run by the stupidest people. We are run by the stupidest people.
Thing about the whole high-profile case is that it can go both ways. Like, yeah, sure, you can make your name on a whole high-profile case, and be championed for it. If it goes the other way and you look like a fool and or are disbarred because you are guilty of prosecutorial misconduct, it's like the biggest fuck up in the world. And it's trying to understand the judge's reasoning behind it is it's interesting, because it's like, so my understanding was that the prosecution misfiled a bullet or misfiled ammunition.
No,
and the
Hold
mistake
on.
was so egregious. Whatever. So yeah, please go ahead, because I still don't grasp
was
this.
all because of a fucking photo. A photo of bullet evidence that was in Arizona, never even entered New Mexico, was not filed properly was kept from evidence, was kept from from discovery, which is the laying out of evidence for those who don't speak legal jargon.
Right.
And it's a fucking photo of bullets that were not even in or had anything to do with the fucking case. However, the judge, she went over all sorts of shit. The case did meet dismissal or mistrial, but it also technically, because of the fucking prosecutorial misconduct, met met all requirements for prejudicial dismissal.
Right. So unless the judge is like really on the pro You know what I mean? Like prosecutorial side of it. Usually those things go in favor of the defendant because you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they're guilty.
That judge,
you know what I mean?
That judge is one of the best they have in that state. I mean, when she did to give you, sorry to interrupt, but to give you guys an idea of how tough this judge is, she gave Hannah Gutierrez Reed 18 months, not because of the major case and all, but because of what that bitch said during her final statement at sentencing, as well as her jail phone calls that she made to a friend, in which she was saying, this is going to hurt my modeling career. And, some shit happens. Sometimes people die. And she's saying all that stuff. And the judge used that shit to say, you aren't remorseful. Your lawyer had to say you were remorseful. You didn't say you're remorseful. You're getting the 18 months. So, yeah, I'm willing to bet that if Alec Baldwin had been found guilty, which most likely he would have if the prosecution did their fucking job, he would have also gotten the full 18 months. Because they would have said, well, he's a model citizen. No, he isn't. He was arrested in New York for assaulting somebody.
True.
He has.
Not to mention, he's been arrested several times in L.A.
So he got away with murder and slapping a crackhead in New York. So Alec Baldwin's up big in 2024, apparently.
Wasn't that what he called his daughter?
Fat pig.
Pig.
Rude little pig.
Rude little pig. What a great thing to call your kid.
And hold on, let me get this straight. Is this the same woman who went on to marry Justin Bieber?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
So, Alec, well, maybe not do a good job as being a father if your baby girl married Justin Bieber?
Well, he's a Southern boy. They get into pigs.
Southern.
Who's a Southern boy?
Piece of shit.
Justin Bieber.
Oh, no, he's from Canada.
Baldwin's from New York.
They have a South in Canada too.
Yeah, it's called
Saskatchewan.
It's not North South Canada.
Buffalo.
See, here's the thing. I always held for this case that it was always going to be hard to prosecute this case, especially if you're talking about murder. I'm not even sure what the charge was.
No,
if it was negligence,
involuntary manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter.
Even that, I think, is would have been a difficult case to prove. Because here's the thing, and I really believe it comes down to this: did Alec Baldwin bring the ammunition on set? No.
No one knows who did. No one knows who did.
See, that's just
just like nobody knows how the crack got in the White House. Just showed up.
So,
I know who did.
I was interested in seeing how the case played out. You know what I mean? I was interested to see what arguments they were going to make. I find it disappointing that the prosecution fucked up so severely that the case literally got thrown out, not as a mistrial, got dismissed with prejudice.
Everything.
It's wild. It's such a wild thing. I'm still.
It was such a fucking monumental.
This is what we like to call worst case scenario.
Now, this is also the same. This is also the same trial where the defendant decided to not only fall asleep every once in a while during the trial, but actually randomly walk out of the trial and then come back 3 minutes later with a coffee and sit back down and enjoy the rest of the trial he's in.
I mean, when that fucking happened, seriously, I wanted to fucking strangle the bastard so badly. It's like, you fucking piece of shit. Do you not realize that you fucking killed a person and you're on trial for it?
I'm sorry. Are we questioning the conscience of Alec Baldwin?
No, I'm telling you guys one.
Questioning it. I know he's a fucking evil piece of shit.
We'll never know. Only the shadow knows.
And I've said this before on here. His best performance is still in Glengarry Glen Ross, where he plays, basically a Trump-like character. It basically tells all the salesmen they're fucking worthless. That's Alec Baldwin. There's a reason why he was so good at. Same thing with Mark Wahlberg in The Departed. There's a reason they were so good in those roles. They are basically those people.
Yeah, they
were.
That's
definitely. I haven't seen Glengarry Glen Ross, but definitely with The Departed, he's playing himself.
Yeah,
and he's the only one that got nominated.
It's so sad.
It's amazing.
It's so sad. Yeah, it's so sad what he did to Jack Lemmon and Glengarry Glen Ross.
Coffees for closers.
Trophies for closers. That shit
Put
hit me.
the coffee down.
And Alec Baldwin,
He
can
does
prove
have
that
an
he got
anger management
yeah,
problem.
yeah. He proved
He
that coffee
does.
is for closers
time.
because he closed the case. Or he managed to get the case closed.
That
There you
ain't
go.
funny. That ain't funny.
I wouldn't. I never
There
saw
was
the
a
movie.
conspiracy again.
Any final thoughts on this story before we hop over to our next one?
Fuck Alec
Well,
Baldwin. Those are my final thoughts.
How many of those Fs are going to count to demonetize this?
Oh no, there's absolutely no shot this show is getting demonetized, and I specifically made it that way when we decided where our closers are going to be here today. So I'm not even trying to get this show demonetized.
I'll say this much: if it's possible, the family should look into putting a civil case. I don't know how the laws in New Mexico work, if they're the same, say, as they were in California. But if it's possible, I would say to the family to look into that and see what can be done.
Something the strifeful that I found out recently is that apparently Alec Baldwin dated Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I was just like, yeah, that kills that whole thing for me. So yeah, way to go, Baldwin.
I am never having another fantasy about Jennifer Love Hewitt ever again.
I remember somebody was talking about him hosting SNL and how he would brag. It's like, man, I would love to fuck her. And it's like, Alec, you're Alec Baldwin. Like, what do you like? What do you? Why are you telling me? Don't tell her.
It's like, look, when it comes to Jennifer Love Hewitt, it's like, look, I can kind of give like her and Carson Daly somewhat of a pass, but then Alec Baldwin is now in this scenario too. It's like, okay, I'm just out.
It's going to.
I mean, have you seen her in her show that she's in now? That one that she's in now. She's got the 40s. She's got the 40s mom bod.
Yeah.
What show is she on? I don't know.
911.
911 Lone Star or some shit. Yeah.
911. Is that the one with William Shatner?
No, this is the Ryan Murphy. I don't know.
Charlie Sheen is a fucking asshole. Alec Baldwin is a piece of shit. There's a
Charlie
difference.
Sheen also got AIDS from transsexual hookers and may have raped a child too. So I mean,
But Charlie Sheen's against the system. That's why Charlie Sheen's better.
Hell. They're both fucking going to hell.
Fair enough.
Oh, by the way, Charlie Sheen, as they said in that 2.5 Men, you're gonna want the spit, and so aren't you, Alec.
I'll go ahead with this next one because I hope or so any of you guys here actually watched The Boys, the show on Amazon.
No.
I'll go ahead and just say this: like the second I found out that Seth Rogen was a executive producer of the show, I had absolutely no interest in ever watching this show. And I know it's a big show, I know it has a big fan base, but if you've been paying attention online, especially the last couple of weeks, or I guess say last month or so, fans of the show have really turned on this show majorly, and it's because the quality of the writing has completely I guess you could say tanked as far as that goes. The showrunner, who's let me make sure I get this guy's name right. Eric Kripke is the guy's name.
Kripke.
There we go.
Not Kripke. Kripke.
Eric Crispy. Rice Krispie. Eric Rice Krispie.
He's the cop from West Side Story.
But no, he's absolutely had a meltdown over the last one, because apparently the whole point of the show is that the character of Homelander, which is the character that everyone loves on the show, was supposed to be a representation of Trump. And apparently this guy got very upset when the character got popular with audiences, because people like, let's be honest, people like asshole bad guys that are somewhat good at times, but kind of psychopaths. And he had an absolute meltdown because in his mind, he saw this character to be Trump. He wanted everyone to hate this character as much as he did. And when he saw that wasn't the result that he was getting right in this show, he decided to, I guess he was going to triple down on all of his hatred of all of his political enemies, which is basically right-wing Christian Trump supporters, right? And that's pretty much what the whole show has evolved into. People say that the show has just evolved into just a complete degeneracy, complete hatred of, like I said, anyone who's not living in New York or LA. But like I said, to me, I knew that this was going to happen. Like I said, when you know who's producing the show, you know the direction where that this whole thing is going to go in. So this was not a surprise to me, but a lot of people who were fans of the show, who had held on for at least the first 3 or 4 seasons of this show, have looked at it now and be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But he did say something recently that I think really kind of shows the disconnect between the Hollywood writers and the audience. Because from what I've gathered from this show, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the whole premise of this show is about superheroes, but superheroes if it was in real life, quote unquote. And whatever they do an angle like that, it's always, well, what if superheroes were just as degenerate as us? And by us, I mean the people who write television shows in Hollywood, not the actual real world, right? There's a scene here that he did an interview for, and he was basically questioned about a scene. Like I said, I don't know the context of this character. Maybe somebody else here does, but the answer that he gave pretty much shows the disconnect between him and the audience, because a lot of people called him out for his response on this. And here's what happened. He was sitting down with Variety, and the interviewer asked him this question, and listen to his response. Here's the question. Let's start off with Tech Knight, which I guess is a character on the show, the sex dungeon part. Where did the idea for it? So where did the idea come for it? Why bring in Huey, who is in the situation now, kicking him when he's down, having him sexually assaulted by his childhood hero after his dad just died? So in the context of the show here, you have a character who's really just being thrown into the mud pretty harshly here. But here's how he responds. He says, well, that's a dark way to look at it. We view it as hilarious. Obviously, Tech Knight is our version of Batman, and we wanted him to really play around with that trope. Batman's fascist underpinnings, which is, we'll go to that here in a second, as a really wealthy dude who hunts poor people and then profits from incarceration. So there's one. Tech Knight was already set up to be a freak, so we were already halfway there. The notion kind of came up that he should be in a Batcave, and let's be honest, the Batcave would be a sex dungeon because he's a degenerate, so that's what he thinks the Batcave should be. And like even the real Batcave is just this side of being a sex dungeon is really dark. There's rubber suits everywhere. There's not much to push to add a couple of dildos and some weird urinal that turns into a face mask. He continues. And in the comics, there's a great storyline where Hiji goes undercover disguised as a superhero. That story that was the story that Jack always asks us to do. So part of it, always be careful what you ask the writers for. We finally had this Web Weaver character, and the idea of Spider-Man going down to be kink tickled in the Batcave was just too good to pass up. But I'm sorry, I just couldn't leave that on the table. So here's what he's describing here. If you guys aren't following on, maybe you guys clicked on to this. The interviewer was describing something that they thought, and I'm pretty sure the majority of the audience thought, like, man, that was a really terrible thing that happened to his character here. Like, what was your mindset behind it? And then the degenerate, who's the showrunner of this show, who's responsible for most of the writing that goes into it, says, oh, well, we thought it was hilarious for a guy to get sexually molested by his childhood hero right after his dad died. Because, we always envisioned Batman to be a rich sexual predator. So it's like, why don't we just put that on the show and see how funny it will be? And everyone else thought that we would laugh too. And then what happened was that when this interview went viral, I believe it was like a few days ago, and this interview went viral, everyone was like, dude, like, what the hell is actually wrong with you? It's like no one thought that that was cool. No one thought that was funny. And you decided to write that as a show and thought you get pleasure out of it. But this is, to me, what I see about, the difference between, like I said, normal people and the people who write shows like this is because this guy apparently thought that his audience was just as sick and degenerate and twisted as he was. So when he had a scene like that, he laughed it all the way up to the bank, and everyone else was disgusted and mortified. And this kind of goes into a lot of the problems that the show is having with its current season, where the writers and the audience are in completely different wavelengths. And it has mostly to do with the fact that this guy is basically writing his sexual fetishes onto the show and his hatred of his political opponents, and the people are just not into it like whatsoever. So, and like I said, I know a lot of people out there be like, oh, well, the first season was good and then it just got to go downhill. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much how it always goes here. And then here we are, surprise. Cider, I'll start this one off with you. What is your take on The Boys as a show and kind of this whole controversy with this character and Eric's completely sexually twisted views of Batman and Spider-Man, which we'll hit back up here in a second too?
So I want to preface what I have to say about this with the knowledge that I read the Boys comic when I was a teenager. It was coming out when I was a teenager, and it was that status of teenagehood when you want to engage in edgy stuff. So what Kripke has done with the show up into this season has been pretty fairly in line with how the comic went. There's been some changes, race swaps, obviously, characters being repurposed, their names being given to women characters that are not related plot-wise to the character in the comics, certainly. And they've made their DEI changes. But I would say that it was a disgusting, gross, violent take on superheroes when it came out, and it is still a disgusting, gross, violent take on superheroes now. The reason why Homelander is popular and why this show rocketed to such popularity is because right now, I would say now more than ever in American history, even more than the Revolution, people have a desire to be a vengeful god. They want the ability to just laser vision someone to death at the grocery store for whatever reason. It doesn't even have to be that they cut them off or caused a problem. They're just there. And that because they're there, they gotta die. And that's why this show became so powerful, is because it tapped into that inner desire to just be a piece of shit. We're all tired of pretending we like each other. This is why we're interested in The Boys, because this takes the idea of the superhero. We all try to pretend to be a super version of ourselves. We go out into society, we pretend to be very kind to everybody. Yes, hello, thank you. I care very much about your day, person I will never see again. Yes. And The Boys comes along and it says, screw that, just melt that person. Fuck it, take the cheeseburger. It's yours. Don't even pay for it. You have laser vision. What the fuck are they going to do? And that's what The Boys has evolved into now. It has evolved into that Kripke's own personal vengeful god fantasy. You talked about his sex thing. Zoom back out to this last season's just perpetual wave of violence. At any point, it didn't even make sense most of the time. Homelander's just like, nyap, dead, nyap, dead, nyap, dead. Kripke did everything he could to make people hate this character, and they're like, no, he's just going through a rough patch. He needs a hug, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's happened with the show. I personally really, really appreciate the change they made to Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy in the comics was a kind of like Dick Grayson meets Steve Rogers character, and whenever danger would happen and he got excited, he would pee himself. And so what they did in the show is they just made him a one-for-one Captain America that has a drinking problem and is like a burned-out Vietnam veteran that's immortal. Like Wolverine meets Captain America. Got Wolverine's attitude and Captain America's powers.
That's Carl Urban?
Nope, that is Jensen Ackles.
Oh, okay. See, I know. Yeah.
No,
it
it's okay.
sounds like a very soulless thing. Like it sounds like it's almost celebrating sociopathy to the point where, you know, I love Goodfellas. I love The Wolf of Wall Street. But these are like satires that have a point that like, oh, hey, this doesn't work out. Like this doesn't.
They're not celebrating. They're not celebrating their. They're not celebrating them.
And us and that thing that you just described. I feel that. Yeah, I feel that in terms of my worst qualities. It's something I'm trying to get away from. But like, it's like those are bad things. You don't want to lean into them. You want to be aware of them so you can try to figure out what's going on. But like, you don't ever want to be like
comics.
Yeah. So,
and they've already bypassed that end, though, Rob. That's the thing. The twist at the end of the comics is that Butcher, the Carl Urban character, he is just as bad as Homelander at the end. And the only way that Kirkman could solve this, I think it was Kirkman that wrote it, the only way he could solve this was to make Black Noir a one-to-one copy of Homelander that has been going around committing atrocities with Homelander's face. And he shows off all these pictures where he's been eating babies. He's been impregnating women, and when the babies are born, he eats them alive. And that's the final chapter of the comic, is in the White House, in the Oval Office, Butcher and Homelander kill Black Noir, and then Butcher explodes a bomb in Homelander's head. And it destroys the White House, and the whole thing is supposed to be Garth Ennis basically says, when you go hard at this whole universe is evil. There is no hero. Butcher is not the hero. He's called Butcher for a reason. And that's the moral of the story. There's no hero when you go that hard.
Yep. But like I said, and it really just had to do with the fact that, you know, this is a problem with so many writers. They can't not see themselves or their twisted worldview in these characters. Because like I said, he wrote this character to be Trump, So in his mind, everyone was going to hate this character as much as he hates Trump, and it backfired on him. So he spent the next couple of years frustrated and angry and distraught because don't they realize that this is Trump? Don't they realize that these people are Trump supporters? Why are you liking these people? And it's like, because you couldn't separate your dumb bullshit from the character. You end up torpedoing your own show as a result for it. But this is what happens when you have 50-year-old sexual degenerate mental children writing today's most popular shows. It's like it was only inevitable that it was only going to get to this point. So,
well, I mean, I'm not familiar with the source material, and I've never seen the show, but it reads like what do we call it, fan fiction or slash fiction of these comic book characters of Batman, Spider-Man, and I'm assuming Superman.
Yeah, Homelander, Superman.
Yeah, it just sounds like it's fan fiction gone really dark and dirty. I could also say that I mentioned this before. The artists who cannot separate their own thinking from the story. This is what happened to, what was his name, Adam McKay when he did Vice. He wrote this long speech for Dick Cheney, and we were supposed to boo and hate him. You know what ended up happening? Some audience, some theater audiences actually burst into applause at the end of Dick Cheney's monologue. Even though we're supposed to hate Dick Cheney, people end up liking him and agreeing with what he said. It sounds like it's the same case here with this show.
Yep.
But I don't understand this whole thing about portraying Batman as or the Batman-like character as fascist. I don't know if you're going to touch on that. It just seems very strange. I mean, we've heard this before. We've heard this, that Batman's supposed to be dark and fascist. It's interesting because yesterday I saw a video about what's his name? Kevin Conroy, the voice of the Batman animated series, and he was actually far from that, and the character that he portrayed was far from that. He was a wounded soul who saw his parents die, and he felt he needed to do this. There was that one episode where he gave up the fantasy where his parents were alive because he felt that that was his purpose to be the Dark Knight. So it's an interesting way of looking. It's more the creators, the showrunners' point of view. But again, you need to know your audience. Never fully antagonize your audience to this degree. I'm puzzled why he thought that this would go over well. And that whole thing about sexually assaulting the kid when his dad dies, I mean, that just sounds really strange. I don't get it.
And he thought that it's one thing if you're gonna do that to a character, knowing that the outcome is supposed to portray something traumatic, right? Like something like, oh man, like this guy is like at the absolute worst point it is. But he thought it was funny. Like he said it himself. He thought that sexually assaulting a guy who just lost his father was absolutely hilarious in his mind. It's like, what normal, not evil person would think something like that is hilarious, right?
What non-predator would think think that? Like seriously, it's a mind of a predator. It's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I sexually assaulted that person? And like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
What unregistered sex offender, as I like to call them.
I've never seen The Boys, but I'd like to bring up my 45-page dissertation on Titan from Megamind. Unbelievable character. Same thing.
The Will Ferrell movie?
Yeah, the Will Ferrell. The other one. It's Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah, he's a voice.
He's the villain. He's like the super villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds like an incel just trying to live out his fantasies using HBO or whoever's budgets in order to live it out. So,
yep.
All I can say here is that my suspicions about this show were completely justified by everything that I've heard regarding how the show turned up over the last several years. So I don't regret not watching a single episode of this show. So
I want to bring up just one thing about that Soldier Boy character, right? So they try to show him as being like this out of touch psycho that just guns down people randomly. But the thing is that I really like these episodes, and I think he just forgot because he likes Jensen Ackles and wanted to make him look like a badass. So you have this guy who can just on sight find people who can't be saved because they're up against this superpowered person who can take over your consciousness permanently. It's over with. Once he gets into your mind, you can't get away from him. It's over with. So what does Soldier Boy do? As soon as he gets an idea, he sees a glint in their eye that reminds him of this guy, he pops him in the head. Guess what? When the hero that doesn't know this tries to stop him, it turns out these people are controlled by that character, and they're going to kill them. So at every turn, this weed-smoking, surly, burned-out Vietnam veteran that doesn't believe the internet's real is like the character that is supremely in the right. His morality is correct at every single turn. And eventually they have to write him out of the show because he's slowly turning the rest of the characters toward a more heroic path just because they don't want to make Jensen Ackles look like a creep. It's amazing what happened.
I mean, it's funny. Your description actually reminds me of John Milius, and maybe Rick will know who that is. But
yes,
John Milius was such he was a right winger in Hollywood openly. He was responsible really for Apocalypse Now, for Conan the Barbarian, The Wind and the Lion. I mean, a lot of great movies, and Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, yeah,
yeah. I never saw Red Dawn because anything with Patrick Swayze.
American Werewolf in Paris, or American Werewolf in London.
That's Landis. That's John Landis, not John Milius. But
my bad.
Yeah, no, but that's what it reminds me of because he was a right wing, almost like a right wing hippie, but but not. You know what I mean? Very much like
up to the line.
Yeah, and he's a man who describes himself as a fascist, but he's not. You know what I mean? He's just very comfortable like using war terminology. But yeah, he's a very interesting figure, and that's literally who that reminds me of. It's just like, okay, we got to get John Milius out of here. He's ruined it for us.
Walter Hill's like that too.
But and you're right. I think what you're trying to describe is how they described Walt Disney as a conservative that is obsessed with progress. And so that's a kind of, Walt had a different way of executing it, obviously, but that's again, that's the Homelander character is a very evil, awful, degenerate, murderous monster. And then you have this Homelander opposite Soldier Boy, who I think the worst thing he does is he has sex with multiple women at once. And literally at once in the show, because they're obsessed with showing this stuff Game of Thrones style. And I think that's the worst thing that as an audience member I had to sit through. Because everything else with that character was awesome and he's they're telling him about the internet and he's crushing up pain pills because he's got to live up the Vietnam veteran thing. He's got a combat knife and he's grinding up the pain pills. And they're telling him about the internet and he pauses and looks up at him and he says, in the Jensen Ackles voice, he says, you're making that up. You're making that up. That's not real.
See, to me, that this is.
I love it.
To me, this is the disconnect, and I'm kind of surprised why it's taking people so long to kind of turn on this show, because isn't the whole idea of superheroes to kind of be an escape from reality? In a lot of sense, is to kind of put yourself in a world that's not anything like reality. And then what they've done is no, let's make superheroes just exactly like reality, but even worse, because it's a degenerate version of reality that's somehow even worse than the one that you're already experiencing. So you've taken kind of the fundamental premise of the idea, flipped it on its head, and made it severely worse than it was ever intended to be. And then somehow we got to this point. I don't know.
I studied this for a while when I was creating the Colossals because I really wanted to understand just how deep in the mess I was going to end up getting. And so we call cops and firefighters and soldiers heroes. We don't call them superheroes. That would be silly. And this is because the superhero possesses the super morality, that they will sacrifice themselves in either a total fashion or either they will exemplify a super morality about a certain topic or belief system. Whereas a hero is a human being that is imbued with flaws that were granted to us by creator, karma, fate, however you'd like to believe it. So that's the point of the superhero, is to represent the absolute peak of a human being. That's why they look the way they do. That's why they're all muscular. That's why they have great, awesome jaw lines and huge boobs on the correct anatomy. Yep. So that's the point of them.
I'm glad you were describing me, Cider.
I love how big your boobs are, Eddie.
With the boobs.
I just want to share this real quick. I got blocked by Grace Randolph a couple years ago because I basically was trying to make the argument or the point that Superman and Wonder Woman are the archetypes for their gender. And every fucking idiot in the comments was like, Supergirl exists. That's not the point I was making.
Correct.
It's like, what I'm saying is they are the ideal. They are the apex. They are the height of how those people see men and women at their very best.
Peak. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really what I was trying to say. And everybody just
missed it.
Yeah. So,
well, anyway. The good news is that Grace Warendorf has proven herself to be no less of an idiot than she was several years ago. So
yeah.
You're on your
huzzah.
How many more seasons of The Boys are they gonna? When is this fucking?
Apparently, the next one, the next one they're doing is the final season, so they are wrapping it up soon. So
is he gonna finally kill Homelander? Because that's what I'm fucking. Or
I don't know what the show's
show.
gonna
I stopped
do.
watching after season 2.
They may subvert your expectations, buddy.
Yeah.
I stopped watching after season 2 because they started pushing the woke shit and that one, and it's like, fuck off with this, dude. Dude's jacking off on the fucking Empire State Building because he didn't get his way. What a fucking loser.
And it's so they did a spin-off show called Gen V, and this is like an X-Men style show that was meant to do that Gen X thing that never came out. And so this was the boys version of that, and that is drowning. That nobody wants anything to do with that show, because guess what? We don't want to see the X-Men subverted. We don't want to see a shitty, angry, violent, horny version of the X-Men. I don't know why we want to see that in Superman, but you know.
They already have the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, which is basically that. So
yes.
with what? Ellen Page is a boy.
Ellen,
so
Elliot,
yeah.
Alien Page. Let's just call him Alien Page.
Mm-hmm. Let's call him an abomination. Anyway, so let's hop over to this story real quick, and then this will be the last one before we go nuclear on our last topic here. This is a story that a lot of you guys may not have heard of. Letitia Wright, I should say, who, if you remember, is Black Panther now. They made her Black Panther after the death of Chadwick Boseman, so she is now 90-pound, very, very small Black Panther in the MCU. She's been a very controversial figure over the last couple of years because, remember, at the height of the whole COVID thing, she was one of the people who was very much against getting the COVID vaccine, and the entire industry turned on her, called her an anti-vaxxer, like really just went after her because it's like, just get the shot, right? And they going as far to the point where even Black Twitter was talking about firing her from the movie and replacing her. Disney decided to hang on with her, so she still managed to be the title character here. Apparently, she's produced this movie here called Sound of Hope. And what happened with this film is that it came out very recently. I think it was in limited release. I don't know the whole context of this film. Like, I've seen the poster. I think I might have seen the trailer once, but this doesn't particularly interest me very much, if I'm being completely honest with you. But apparently she had to come out because the Daily Wire was listed as one of the producers of this show, or one of the distributors of this show, I mean of this movie, I should say, and she had to come out to distance herself from the Daily Wire. So I guess the only reason why she would do this is to make sure that her handlers in Hollywood wouldn't freak out. It's like, why are you attached to something that Ben Shapiro is doing? It's like, what are we even doing here? So she went out and posted this a couple days ago. This is the updated statement here that Black Panther star Letitia Wright, who's the executive producer of the faith-based movie Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, revealed that in social media that she's distancing herself from the film's conservative partner, the Daily Wire. Wright was reportedly getting dinged on social media about being infiltrated with the Daily Wire. She claims that it wasn't her decision after Angel Studios, who was responsible for what was last year, the Sound of Freedom, a couple of other films that they've done along the way, took on the distribution of the movie, which tells the true story of the Texas church that adopted 70 foster kids. So this is what Wright wrote on Instagram. To be clear, after we completed the production of the film, Angel Studios were brought on board to handle the distribution, and they partnered with the Daily Wire. That was not my decision. I was not given an update or made aware of this decision. I am not in any way, shape, or form aligned with or affiliated with the Daily Wire. It's the same to see that the pockets of discord online has taken a divisive political turn. The story isn't about politics. It's about children. Any conversation that detracts from it is unnecessary and harmful. She said that I am thankful for all who want to possibly champion this film and campaign to serve children. However, I do not condone the use of this using this beautiful film for divisive political purposes. That's not why I joined the project. The Daily Wire did respond later on. Excuse me. So Wright's comments comes after Matt Walsh was promoting the Sound of Freedom, saying that leftists are trying to stop Christians from saving more children. So I guess it was a response to some things that Matt Walsh had said on his Twitter feed, which led to people attacking her as a response to this. Jeremy Boring, who's the CEO or co-CEO of the Daily Wire, also had a statement here. It says, opening day, July 4th, Sound of Hope, one of the highest grossing films nationwide, only second to the biggest Disney release of the year. The movie is tracking to be huge and potential launch of a movement and the end to America's foster crisis. Daily Wire was proud to be partnering with Angels Studios, but obviously that's caused a lot of conflict back and forth here. So this is really what it just comes down to. She's tried to distance herself from the Daily Wire because she was getting heat because the movie that she executive produced is now also being pushed by the Daily Wire, and people think that, oh, you're with them, you're with that side. We'll get more into the nook and crannies of kind of the political debate here with the whole Trump thing, but I'll shoot this one over to you, Orange Hat. What is your take on Letitia Wright and her denouncing of the Daily Wire for her film?
She creates a film and it gets distributed by the Daily Wire, and then she gets pissed off because the Daily Wire distributed it. At this point, woman, I'd be happy if anybody distributed my shit. If I was doing something to put a lot of fucking effort into it, to do a positive message or whatever, and, maybe somebody that has a slight disagreement with me politically decides to distribute it, well, I'd be happy about it because your fucking movies suck otherwise, especially if Disney gets a hold of them. Why are you complaining? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Daily Wire either. I think Ben Shapiro's a fucking narcissistic piece of shit. I think that Matt Walsh is a narcissistic piece of shit. I think that a lot of them are fucking narcissistic pieces of shit. Candace Owens included, and now she's not even part of the Daily Wire, but I still think she's a narcissistic piece of shit. But you know what? Good on you for, I am actually going to say this, good on you for distancing yourself from them. But the fact that it's done for political reasons because, you're afraid of a little bit of backlash from people. Grow the fuck up, woman. Learn to stop caring what other people say. Court of public opinion doesn't fucking matter. Jesus fucking Christ, grow up. Fuck off.
And let me be clear here. The only reason why she even made that statement is, like I said, in Hollywood, you're not allowed to have certain opinions that flow to a certain side of the political spectrum. You could be the most degenerate piece of garbage known to man and can be completely fine in Hollywood. But if you have any kind of conservative Christian political views or affiliations whatsoever in that town, you're completely ostracized. It's like, yeah, okay,
let's kill people and still be allowed and still be celebrated in Hollywood.
Yeah, you can rape a 13-year-old and get a standing ovation at award show. So it's like that just goes to show you the moral compass of the town that we're talking about here. But Rob, I want to shoot this one over to you. What's your take on Letitia Wright and this whole movie? I have not seen this movie. I don't think either you two have seen it either, right?
No.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, you did see it?
No, it's just, sorry, Jake. It's the thing where my internet's cutting out and Jacob is the only one that is frozen. And so I don't, I just heard the whole, like, send this one over to you. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I know he's going to me next, even if he's frozen momentarily. Look, I hate the Daily Wire. I also understand, like, they are in the business of distributing films and producing films and whatever. And I don't think they've made really anything good yet. But it's like, if that's who, is ultimately doing business with you and your film and your movie, okay. I don't understand. What did she not know? Is it because people noticed and then she had to release a statement? It's like all of this looks bad. all of this looks like somebody who didn't know what was going on, despite the fact that she's an executive producer. That means that you're at meetings. You're supposed to be abridged of the situation. Not to mention that isn't she also starring in it? Isn't she also in the movie, or is she just a producer?
I think from what I know, she's only a producer. I don't think she's
Okay.
actually starring in the film.
Okay, and I have heard good things about it from Christian Toto, but I have my doubts when it comes to Angel Studios anyway, because they didn't make Sound of Freedom. They just distributed it. So again, I'm open to it being good. It doesn't sound like the kind of movie I would be interested in, to be completely honest, but that's okay. But yeah, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. That literally makes no business sense. It's like, why would you do business with someone that you would have to later say, oh, I'm not affiliated? And listen, her saying I'm not affiliated in any political way or whatever, that could at least make sense, because it's like, oh, this is about business. But we all know Hollywood is all about virtue signaling. We know it's all about, hey, I'm on, the right side of history and I'm on the right team and all that nonsense. I mean, I'm not going to say that James Woods still has a viable leading man career, but like, he could still be acting if he hadn't been blacklisted or whatever ended up happening to him. But or like the silent blacklist, because that speaks
or Gina
to
Carano.
I love.
Well, here's the problem. See, and this is the problem, is that I don't really think Gina Carano's that talented to begin with. She was good in, what was that movie, Haywire? She did a few other things after that. Things like that, we have to be careful, where it's like, okay, is this person just taking advantage of, the cancel culture narrative? Whereas, like, okay, like how I see it is opportunities were drying up, and so she played that card. Okay, but I'm not saying she shouldn't get opportunities. Anybody that's talented enough should get opportunities. I believe
Well, she's actively blackballed because of her politics in Hollywood.
Yeah, which is wrong. Absolutely.
Yep. Cider, what do you think?
So if it was about the kids, none of this would have mattered. That's what I think. It's not about the kids. It's about the politics. She wanted to win, to be like, I made a movie about helping children. I'm so special and are nice. And then as soon as she was like, oh God, that P word guy is attached to this, I got to go tell people I don't like the P word, man. And that's what it was. That's that simple. So it's not about the kids. It's all about the politics.
The P word guy? I don't know what that means.
So when Wet Ass Pussy came out,
yeah.
he read the lyrics and he replaced pussy with P word. And of course, because of Ben's unique vocal pattern, it became an instant remixed hit.
There we go. Well, I mean, he did have a #1 rap hit, so there's that. I pretty much agree with Rob on this. I really think this is a non-story. It should be a non-story. This is a company that is releasing the film, distributing the film, and putting it out there for people to see. And all she could have said was, well, that's their company, and just focus on the film. And I'm here to talk about the film. I mean, she's right to say that I had nothing, I'm not affiliated with them. That's fine. I don't begrudge her that. But that should be the end of it. She didn't have to make lengthy statements about, I'm not part of that or whatever. Just say, well, they were good enough to distribute the film. I don't see any other studios distributing it. I don't see Amazon putting it in theaters. I don't see Netflix putting out in theaters. I don't see whatever studios are still around putting it in theaters. This small company took my film, or took the film that I produced, and is putting it in theaters, and I'm thankful to them for that opportunity. And that's pretty much it. And say, well, no, I don't know, I don't agree with what they believe, or I don't know what they believe, but I'm not here to talk about that company because I'm not part of that company. I'm here to talk about the film. I'm here to talk about this story, this apparently inspirational true story, and the positives of foster care and the positives of maybe adoption. I will always say that I hate this concept of calling the pastor's wife the first lady. I refuse to do that. And yeah, they're trying to do that at my church, and I just can't. I like the pastor's wife, but I'm not calling her the
weird.
first lady. It's a strange thing. I saw that in the article. That's why I mentioned it. But really, it's a tempest in a teapot for me. It's not a story. It's not important. So yeah, the Daily Wire is part of it. It's not like Ben Shapiro just pops up in the middle of this congregation and starts doing a
Reading
sermon
crime statistics.
or reciting the gospel version of the WAP. So so what is the whole thing about? I don't understand what the big deal is.
It's not like Ben Shapiro just came out in the middle of the film and do like a ad read for My Patriot Gold or something like that. So
I'd like to also point out that Ben Shapiro used to be a rapper. His name used to be Too Short. So
Ben Shapiro does in fact have 2 rap songs that are out there that are a thing. So yeah,
And he plays a very mean violin. So
right.
there's that.
Him and Jethro Tull, or no, Jethro Tull played violin.
He is Jethro Tull. Trust me, I know.
And his sister has giant cannons too. Don't forget that too. That's the other.
Oh my god,
thing
his sister texted me once. It was amazing. I loved it.
You gotta tell me that story off the air, but yeah, that's the whole thing going on with Letitia Wright. And like, here's the thing, like I said earlier, this is all because she's trying to remain in somewhat good standing in Hollywood. She's already gotten heat for not getting the vax and refusing to do that whole spiel a couple of years ago. So her reputation in the business is probably already taking heat from that. She's an open Christian, and I'm pretty sure they're not happy about that either. And now it's like, oh, now you're working with Ben Shapiro, so it's like she's trying desperately not to get blackballed from that industry. But
It's
that's
curious that she would not, as far as I know, not want to affiliate with the Daily Wire, because I don't know if they would side with her on that vaccine issue. I think it's not like most of the other places would demand that she vax. I think they would probably say, well, if you want to. I don't know, but it just seems strange to me. But really, Letitia, just let it go. Focus on the film. Promote the film. Focus on the fact that you are now the ruler of Wakanda. So focus on that. All right.
That's probably why they're talking about recasting Black Panther all these years, because it's like their plan B. It's like, she's not part of the club.
That
so
would be a case of what is it, misogynoir. That would be a case of misogynoir, where you would be both racist and sexist. I'm sure Letitia Wright will be perfect in the Kamala story, the most inspirational story in the history of all mankind, where she becomes president in like
Wakanda.
Yeah, in a couple of hours, maybe.
If only the desk could talk. That'll be the name of the movie. So let's go ahead and get to our closer here. Like I said, this is the part of the show where it's probably going to go completely off the wire here, because here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get some edict over the next couple of weeks that, hey, YouTube doesn't like it when you talk about the Trump stuff. They don't want you spreading conspiracy theories. They're like, screw all that. I'm at the point now where it's like, look, Google, you're not going to tell me what to say. You're not going to tell me what to talk about. You're not going to tell me what opinions to have about
you
this
don't
story.
own me.
So here's what happened. Last Saturday, I believe the government tried to kill Donald Trump. I think based on everything that we've seen here, I think it's pretty safe to say that here's what you have to believe. There's only 2 options here. You either have to believe that some 20-year-old schmuck who nobody knows and has no criminal history whatsoever outsmarted the Secret Service, who failed on multiple levels to protect a running presidential candidate, got duped by a 20-year-old,
and a former president.
Or they allowed it to happen because they wanted him to set him up to be killed. I posted a couple of tweets on my Twitter account over the last several months that pretty much said, after that whole Biden debate performance where everyone started riding all over Biden, I said that at this point, the only way that they're going to keep Trump out of the White House is to shoot him. That's pretty much where it is. I don't care if that makes people sensitive or uncomfortable. We all know that this is where it was going. You guys, pretty sure you heard the story by now. Everyone in the world knows what happened. This was last Saturday night during a rally in Pennsylvania. all of a sudden gunshots to start firing out during the press conference. Now I have 3 videos that I want to show you guys here, and I'm going to back up with a lot of inconsistencies here where I believe that this was actually a setup. We'll go with the actual video. This is what happened at the rally.
They see something that said, take a look at what happened.
So that was the panic scene last Saturday. Clearly, you can hear the gunshots. They went off, they fired. Trump got hit in the ear. There's been a lot of videos to show over the last couple of days how very close to death he actually did come. Like if his head was tilted any slightly to the right here, he's probably not with us right here. This was the video that took place immediately afterwards. Once they calmed down the situation, they finally got Trump back on his feet. They were going to escort him out, and then this happened. No. So yeah, assassination attempt failed here. And here's the thing, there's a video that I want to play here in just a second, because this really is going to show you how badly this was muffed if you believe that they were actually trying to protect him in the first place. Now, since this whole thing has happened, let's kind of let you guys know what happened here. The Biden White House came out, and I guess they made an initial conference later that Saturday. Then Sunday, Biden had a whole sit down there, basically talking about the whole situation, BSing people, saying that, hey guys, it's time to tone down the rhetoric, even though he's only talking to the opposite side. He's not actually talking to people who's been dividing our country here for at least the last 10 years to begin with. And as this has all been happening, we've gotten a new information about what happened with the shooter, who the shooter was, where he came from. I'm not going to focus too much on the shooter himself, because I think he's kind of irrelevant to the point here. But here's what happened. There was multiple people who saw this guy get into position. Rumors is now saying about 30 minutes before he actually fired these shots. So 30 minutes before he fired a single shot, everyone saw him get up on a roof and set up his little sniper's nest and take aim at Donald Trump. And people were asking themselves, there's people on video warning the Secret Service and the police officers that were in attendance this day, saying, hey, there's a guy on the roof over there with a gun, and he's not one of you guys. You guys should look into it. No one did anything. He stood there for a while. There's a police officer who claimed that he climbed the ladder of the building that the kid was on, saw the kid pointed a rifle at him. He jumped off the building. I guess that's what led to the rush shot to begin with. He fired he followed multiple shots. One hit Trump, whizzed past his ear, took a chunk of his ear. Another one hit an innocent bystander who passed away, a 50-year-old man who was there with his wife and daughter who passed away tragically. And then everything about this story just stinks. The female detail of the whole Secret Service and all this old nonsense about there were multiple women who clearly did not look like they knew what the hell they were doing, and they were supposed to be the people, these 5'4" Lena Dunham clones supposed to protect a 6'4" former president. That alone makes it sound like a setup in and of itself. There was failures in the security detail. You see video where the counter snipers, the one that actually was with the Secret Service, could see him before he even fired a shot. How was the shot not taken even before that? How did this whole thing come to this point to begin with? This whole thing effing stinks, and I now got video evidence to prove that this whole thing stinks. I'm going to start this off with you guys. We're going to have a quick little initial discussion, then we're going to react to the evidence to suggest that, yes, in fact, they actually did try to assassinate Donald Trump to prevent him from becoming the president in 2024. Orange, I'll start with you. This is your chance to go nuclear. Have at it.
I don't know about much of the theories that the government tried to kill him. I'm not in that camp. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him at this point, but I do, or they have always said that the only way to take out Trump is to shoot him. But when it does come to the failure of the Secret Service, the fact that this bitch, who is head of the Secret Service, has not resigned yet, shows that Biden wanted Trump dead. Biden fucking said on July 8th, we need to put Trump in a bullseye. So whether that means, or whether that was coded language, or whether that was whatever, take it as you will. But when I saw that video, when I saw that Trump, or I saw a picture of Trump's face bloody and his fist up first, and then I'm like, why is he bleeding? Then I started looking at it because I was having family time with my baby nephew. And then suddenly I see this news and it's like, somebody just shot Trump. Like, really shot him. And he's alive, from what I understand. And it's like, what the hell is going on? So then I'm looking into it and it's like, oh my God. The fact that the Secret Service did not have 130 fucking yards, roofs, cleared roofs, observed, and the fact that they allowed that person to get up on that roof, turn that gun, and shoot without putting a bullet through his head 30 seconds before the shots even rang out tells you a lot. That this Secret Service under Biden is a fucking joke. Folks, they call it, or the Secret Service has one mission, and it's called zero fail. They failed. The second Corey Comfortori died, they failed. The second a bullet was shot from another person's gun that was not a Secret Service or a police officer's gun, they failed. The second that Trump got hit in the ear with a bullet, they failed. These fucking Secret Service women who can't even put their fucking gun back in their holster right, who is like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What the fuck is happening? Hiding behind the group. Yeah. I noticed at the RNC, those Secret Service women are not there. Because honestly, they should be fired. What's her name? Kimberly Cheadle or whatever her fucking name is, the head of the Secret Service, needs to step down. She failed at her job. This is a zero fail job. You fail once, you're fucking done. Because Trump nearly died, folks. They said less than an inch the other way, he was dead. And I'm sorry, but the fact that this was even allowed to happen, the fact that there was people shouting he had a gun, or there's a person with a gun, and the fucking cops didn't listen, they need to be brought up on charges. Every single fucking Secret Service agent and every single fucking cop in that fucking entourage needs to be brought up on charges.
Well, like I said, like here's the problem with me. It's like this wasn't just like one person, like, didn't do his job and then like something bad almost happened. Like, in order for this to have been an accident, quote unquote, this was a colossal failure on multiple people's fronts. This isn't just one guy didn't do his job. He didn't clear a building and then all of a sudden it's like some guy snuck in and then did his thing. Like, this was multiple people who failed simultaneously to the point where it was such a hilarious failure of protecting Trump that I have to wonder, were they actually trying to protect him in the first place? And like I said, there's a video that we'll play here in just a bit that shows that there was a good 2 solid minutes of when people noticed the shooter, pointed him out, was getting the attention of both Secret Service and police. They did absolutely nothing for 2 full minutes before this guy actually took a shot. And we'll show you that here in a second. Cider, what's your take on this whole situation? Are you buying the excuse of negligence, or do you think that there's something more sinister that happened here on Saturday?
I would say both, to be honest with you. I'll keep it short because the thing is you can get into a lot of this, and the next part is going to be where it matters. So basically what I want to say is this, you are dealing with a force that wants to do harm. They are exploiting stupid people to get it done because they understand the fail rate of dumb people will accomplish their goals better than having a Machiavellian center node. And so they're just letting fate happen by putting idiots in charge of things that matter. And that's what you're looking at. You're seeing people who are smart leading dumb people to places they can do the most harm. This woman who couldn't put her gun back into place should have been nowhere near the president's security detail. Fine enough to hang around out front of the White House and make sure yuck-em-ups aren't getting too close with their selfie sticks. That's fine. She can handle that. Not protecting the most powerful person, man or woman, we'll get a female president eventually. Not protecting the most powerful person in the world. And that's what I have to say.
Yeah. And I want to add more to that, but like I said, it really just grabbed the way to get to this point. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this first. Rick, we'll start this one off with you. What was your take on what happened Saturday?
Well, I'm probably the only person, or maybe the only person, who does not believe it's a conspiracy and more in total incompetence. I think the idea that this was some sort of plot to assassinate him by the CIA or nefarious dark forces is as odd as those people who think that this whole thing was staged to try to get sympathy votes or to try to rally Trump, even though he's going to lose by 537 electoral votes. Cider being the only vote for Trump in Maine for that random Maine vote. I'll just say that it's what was that idea? What's that notion that if it's between conspiracy and incompetence, go with incompetence? I will go with incompetence, but it is a very serious matter to try to assassinate a political candidate. We've seen this before in the past. Was Wallace, Robert F. Kennedy, Gerald Ford. Two women tried to shoot him like in the same week, which is really strange. Ronald Reagan, he almost died. So we've seen this, and it just seems that the Secret Service sometimes is very lax or in their detail. I do agree with you that maybe the agents that they had were maybe not the best people to serve, especially if Trump towers over his detail. They should get more people. I mean, those women would probably be good for me because I'm short and I don't mind having an Amazonian guard, but I don't think that they would work for him. So you need better security, for lack of a better word. But I don't believe that it's a conspiracy because Uncle Joe's going to win it in hands down. So there's that.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Eddie,
Your
what's your thoughts?
humor is very not welcome today.
What humor? It's logic.
It's never welcome.
Yeah,
that's logic.
No fun allowed.
536 electoral votes. Fine.
Absolutely. I've been covering it. My biggest beef is probably what we're going to talk about next, or after, what have you. Just a couple of random facts. The entire thing, the entire building that the shooter was on, apparently was a staging facility for the police department. That they were holding all of their capos in there to keep things in order. So there was police inside the building the entire time. Yeah. He had brought his own ladder. The ladder was not provided. He had brought his own ladder, and apparently an hour and a half before the event, he went and took like a surveillance loop, a walk around, and he was carrying around a telescope that hunters use to like really decide where they're going to be,
rangefinder.
Right. He was walking around with one of those, and he was questioned on it, but nobody really thought it was a big deal. None of the police or anything. So they let him go by, and then he came back about an hour later, and set himself up on top of the roof for half an hour. So those are just some random facts that come out within the past 24 hours or so. Yeah. I don't know if you want to make a conspiracy out of that, but
we'll make a conspiracy out of the video. Rob.
Yeah, I'm exhausted since this has happened. I'm just fucking exhausted to the point where I'm like, I can't even begin to start theorizing or seeing a motive or like all this shit, because it's like, I'm sorry, a presidential candidate was just shot. And like you can say shot at whatever, it literally hit his fucking ear.
Oh, he was
A
shot.
presidential candidate just got I'm sorry. This is shit from the history books. This is shit not in my lifetime. Okay. I was born in 1989, to be fair. That was only 5 years after Reagan was shot by John Hinckley. But it's like this is alarming on a level where it's like, I'm sorry, I can't even think about this because I'm still trying to get over the fact that this is what just happened. And I listen, I watch a lot of messed up stuff. I ingest a lot of, like, you read about messed up stuff, car accidents, human trafficking, whatever it might be, the Holocaust. I don't know what it was, but Saturday I was actually like, I had a minor anxiety attack because I couldn't explain it. I don't even like Trump on a personal level, but it was just like, are we really at this point in our country where this is happening? Because I am of the perspective that things have improved. They have gotten better, that there's less violence from 40 years ago. There's all these little metrics you can look at to say, as a society, we are more peaceful, we are less violent. And then something like this fucking happens, which I know is outside of that whole perspective. But so I'm open to hearing what you guys have to say. I personally need a little bit more evidence before I'm jumping off to conspiracy theory land. But
same.
Yeah, no, it's like Trump stopping the Secret Service to put his hand up. That was weird. Like, I'm sorry. It's a great image. It's a great moment for him in the campaign. However, I find it really weird that this now this would be backed up. This would be backed up by the Secret Service being incompetent boobs, literal incompetent boobs, where it's like they didn't rush him off the stage, or they didn't like.
I thought they were supposed to take bullets for the president.
They should have said, "Sorry, sir, we're not waiting. You have to go."
No, in a sense, I think it was good because I think it might have reassured people that no, I'm still alive. I'm still here. And Trump has always been very of the moment where he sees it.
I thought the Secret Service was supposed to get in the way of the bullets. Like, that was their job.
Yes.
Like, that's the weird part about it to me.
And he did tell them that, wait, let me get my shoes on.
Well,
he said get my shoes.
No, that's boss level. That's a boss. That's a boss.
Wait, let me get my shoes.
There's
that's a New York
back
boss.
of the stage where his shoes literally flew off the fucking stage.
Real quick before I let Cider, not only was this request denied, but if you recall, they were actually trying to remove his Secret Service protection when they convicted him earlier this year. So, I said, that there's no coincidence about what happened here, and I'll get to this here in a second. But I do want Cider to get in first.
So I just want to say this, right? So when it comes to Trump raising his fist. And anybody in here been in a car accident? Anybody like survived something like really nuts and almost
I told you I'm
killed
going to
you or
wait until
did?
later for that.
Yes.
Okay, but that's what that is. That is the survivor's high. That is death came, knocked on my door, and I spat in its face. That's what that was. That was pure adrenaline. That was, what can I do right now to roar as loud as possible to show the world that I am alive?
And here's the thing is that I am in the middle. I'm in the middle where I might not vote in November, but and being in that position and seeing that image, it was like, if I'm feeling that, they're fucked. Like the Democratic Party, that they are fucked. If I'm feeling like that, if something is being stirred up in me, seeing that, it's over. It's fucking over. So just. I definitely had that takeaway.
And Pennsylvania will be, I think, the deciding factor. So you've got that.
So I want
and by the
go ahead.
Well, I just want to share this dramatic reenactment from Japan of what happened that day.
I saw.
Hell yeah!
Share this.
I saw that shit.
我が心と行動に一点の曇りなし。すべてが正義だ。ドジャーン！ドジャーン！ドジャーン！一体何のつもりなんだ！遺体はこのバレンタインのことを好いてくれて。我が
That's fucked up, but hey, it works.
It's better than a lot of the
I mean,
stuff.
before we start this, though, I do want to say one more thing. I don't want to fucking hear another word about J6.
Yeah, that whole narrative
For
is dead.
real.
But
So
it's the
here's
most
the thing.
dramatic moment in human history. We have
Here's the thing, right? There's a lot of people out there who they don't want to believe in the conspiracy side of things. I think they're still trying to hold on to this idea of the America / society that they have been fed to several years ago, without realizing the fact that that was kind of all the lie. Remember, not too long ago, and this is something that kind of flew over a lot of people's heads. The CIA quite literally admitted that, by the way, we were the ones that killed JFK 60 years ago. That was us. So after all these years of, oh no, there was this one crazy guy over there, he just shot the president. It was all guys. Like, now that everyone that was involved with the situation is dead and can't be held accountable for their actions, now the CIA just opens and admits, oh yeah, that was us. We killed a sitting president of the United States. So let's not pretend like there's no precedent for something like this to have happened here. Let's go ahead and watch this video. So this one, someone put out a full 4-minute ordeal of what happened here, and you can see that the disturbance here was happening minutes before any shots was fired. Somebody perfectly aligned essentially the crowd video with what Trump was actually on stage. You can see everything that's going on with this time frame, and everything is time marked and stamped. This is how ridiculously long it took Secret Service and police officers to even notice that anything was going on to when the shots were actually fired here.
Zapruder 8K.
Look, they're all pointing.
People are already starting to point because they see the guy who's on the roof over here, and this is at the 10-second mark. So people see him, they're pointing him out. They're telling police officers and Secret Service that, hey, there's somebody up there with a gun. You should probably do something about it because he doesn't look like one of yours. And they're all just allowing this to happen. So, like I said, this is going to keep going.
Look, there he is.
And by the way, it was admitted now that they noticed him 30 minutes before this point. So this is when the videos started to get piled in, but they noticed him about a good 28 minutes before even this part happened.
In our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. It's much tougher than it happened. In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access?
I love this part.
I love so much. You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? It's so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys.
So like I said, this is just going. They know he's there now.
On the bottom, see the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you
Oh, by the way, so a couple of things are happening now. Now the crowd is screaming that he has a gun. He has a gun. The Secret Service behind him, as this is happening, the Secret Service behind him is moving people from behind where Trump was standing here out of the way. They're not moving Trump at all. They're moving people from behind Trump. The snipers who are on the roof see the guy that is in question here. He has a clear line of shot of the guy before he fires anything. People are screaming he has a gun. There are people on the ground running towards and away from him, and they're still just allowing him to be on stage at this moment, and then this happens.
Hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. We got breaking news coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally.
So, by the way, that was the other person who was shot, who unfortunately passed away in this video. But we're gonna keep going here for a second.
God bless.
I don't think people realize just how close we got to a civil war.
No, they don't. And
Literally
to be fair,
millimeters.
people still don't
Literally less
understand
than
how
an
close.
inch.
Like people still don't even understand the gravity of what actually happened on Saturday. But well, I'm gonna finish this video here first. I want to play the whole thing.
We are live right now at the Trump rally. We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
The All Might is standing moment.
I thought he was saying "fuck" at first.
Yeah, I
US
thought he was saying, fuck you, fuck
Literally,
you. Yeah.
literally the U.S. history, the U.S. history textbook picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that is going to be in a history that will be in a history book.
He'll have his own chapter. There's no way.
That's a junior high history textbook right there.
Yeah.
By the way, in case you're keeping count here, this guy has 4 female Secret Service agents. 4.
Right.
Yeah, and 2 of them should be fucking
two-thirds
put in
of
prison.
the
Why is it? How in the world did they not hire Sinbad? At least he would have gone in the way of the bullets.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Or Diane Lane. At least she fucking jumped in front of a bullet for her president.
Breaking news right now. This is Vanessa Broussard reporting to you live.
It's like, all right, enough of that shit. Get in the car, sir.
I'm the greatest. The greatest.
President Trump arrived. He hit the ground. Unheard of yet.
Look at these fucking women. They're like, what the fuck is going on? What are we doing? Okay, are we going? Wait, are we supposed
It's
to get
almost as if women are not good in high pressure situations, right? It's almost as if that's something
Jesus
we probably
fucking
learned
Christ,
a
you
long
dumb
time ago.
twats. Get the fuck out of here. You're fucking fired. You might as well just get underneath that fucking vehicle and just allow yourselves to be run over, you fucking incompetent twats.
So here's what we're supposed to believe. This is the narrative that's going on right now. We're supposed to believe that during a rally for the running presidential candidate for the United States of America, an election that's only about 3-4 months away, that they let some kid, 20-year-old kid, nobody knows, he has no motive, just shocker, he has absolutely no motive, just some crazy incel with a gun, happens to come around, somehow bypass multiple layers of security, both local and federal at that, get on top of the roof and have a perfect 150-foot line of sight to the presidential candidate and be nested there for like a while. It's not like he ran up on, the roof, nose to everyone, and then just immediately started firing. He was camped out there for a while. So he was waiting for his moment.
Sandwich up there.
He was waiting for his moment to take a shot, and no one said a thing. Well, the crowd obviously saw him, but like the people who had the guns who could have easily stopped him didn't say a thing. And then he goes out there, he panics, he shoots the guy, barely misses him. Like I said, literally an inch away from him being dead, and brain splattered all over the place and stuff like that. An incompetent group of female bodyguards who clearly didn't know what they were doing, or perhaps they didn't expect to actually have to take away a living presidential candidate back to his bulletproof SUV over there. And then this is what we've been told after the fact. There was a complete breakdown of security on all levels, in the Secret Service, to the federal level, to the local level. And then we're supposed to believe that this kid absolutely acted on his own, had no motive, and broke through all these layers of security. By the way, now we're getting this BS report that, it turns out that Iran just so happened to wanted to kill Trump. So there was a plot from Iran to kill Trump. Okay, so Iran, the country who just lost their president like a month ago from a helicopter crash, just so happens to send some 20-year-old white kid to try to kill Trump. Is that the angle that we're supposed to believe on this entire story? Or just real quick, Are we to believe that the political party, or you could say government entity at this point, because I mean, let's be honest, neither the Democrats or Republicans actually want Trump for a multitude of reasons. But the same party who has tried to get rid of this man for several years, ever since he won the 2016 election when he was not supposed to, ever since then, they've done everything to indict him, impeach him several times over. They've put him up on criminal charges. They've tried to block him from becoming the president. They tried to block him from being on the ballot in many, many states. They finally thought that they had finally got their opportunity. It's like, oh, we convicted him in New York on some frumped up charges. He won't be able to run. That blew up on in their face. Then they put him up there against the sitting president, their candidate that they're trying to gaslight everyone into thinking is actually mentally sane. That blew up in their face. So they're literally, because they're in a position now where, hey, it's not 2020 anymore. You can't shut down the entire country and win via mail-in ballots anymore. So cheating is going to be a lot harder than it was 4 years ago. Their only viable option up to this point was to take him out to make sure that he could not possibly become president of the United States in 2024. And we're supposed to believe that that's what happened. Biden comes out there, makes a statement, and then has to do like another separate press conference on Sunday. I fully believe, based on all the facts that we've been laid out and all the video evidence that we've seen here, that Biden was supposed to talk about the death of Donald Trump, that they were fully expecting Trump to be taken out, that what he was going to do is that he was going to try to call the nation, because assuming that Trump actually was killed on Saturday, everyone would have been furious. Everyone would have been completely pissed off. He would have obviously preached, oh, let's all come together. Let's not do anything crazy. Meanwhile, everyone in Hollywood and in the media is talking about how glorious it is that the Hitler monster is finally dead, that he can't hurt us anymore. Everyone in the entertainment industry would have been celebrating. You would have had all of these posts talking about, yeah, we finally got rid, only to stroke the fires of what would have been an actual civil war here in this country, in the United States. Because, of course, the media and the president and everybody else would have told you, hey, you Trump support, don't do anything crazy out there just because your candidate got shot in the head. Don't get any ideas that we may have had anything to do with this, because, hey, look, we would never do anything like that. Like, they don't live in a country where our intelligence agencies actually kill sitting presidents of the United States. That's never happened for us. So don't go into these Alex Jones conspiracy theories, by the way. Just the little added layer to this whole story too. Alex Jones is literally being financially ruined right now because he alluded to the fact that Sandy Hook was a Hook shooting hoax. And now you have all these people online talking about, oh no, Trump totally set himself up to be shot so he could be a hero. That was totally a hoax. People just openly. So I'm glad that we've also noticed that we have absolutely no standards when it comes to this whole situation whatsoever. Here's the thing. I do not believe, based on the history of our government, our intelligence agencies, everything that got laid out here. I'm sorry. I cannot believe that we have the single most incompetent Secret Service security detail in the entire world who failed on multiple levels and got outsmarted by a rando 20-year-old kid. I believe that Trump was purposely set up, that the people who were there purposely allowed the situation to happen, because what they wanted to do is that they wanted to allow the kid to shoot Trump. Then they will take him out, prop themselves up to be the heroes who stopped the mass shooter who happened to kill the big bad Trump man. And that whole thing blew up in their face when Trump wasn't dead. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not giving anyone the benefit of the doubt here. This is not a situation based on what happened Saturday where anyone on any level deserves the benefit of the doubt that this was just a oopsie daisy. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to live in this. I'm not going to be afraid to be, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist on this whole situation. We're done. We're done playing this stupid game.
Well, here's the thing.
What's happening in the world and start calling it out for exactly what it is.
I just want to enter this into what you're talking about, okay? So consider this. Let's say that we're playing the odds. Does that mean that every single rally that Trump goes to, someone shows up with a rifle ready to kill him? And this is the one time that the Secret Service screwed up, that person or persons got through? No. This is an extraordinary incident. There is not someone walking up to a Trump rally with a rifle, viewfinder, walking around, bringing a ladder to this organization, then getting up on top of a building with a metal roof full of cops, and nobody noticing along the way. There's too many stars aligning there for that to work. There's way too many things that were made to happen that allowed that guy to get there and get that shot. But one thing I know for sure, Jesus sent the spirit of Shinzo Abe down with a mighty, blessed, divine blade to deflect that bullet just far enough to preserve the next president of the United States.
Are you saying that he sent a divine wind, a kamikaze?
I mean, here's another thing. In my
That guy
final
wasn't
thoughts,
armed, Spencer. I just want to say he wasn't armed. That guy ran up to the podium. To my knowledge, he had the intention of trying to grab Trump, and he just didn't get him. To my knowledge, he didn't have a gun in his hand. He was trying to grab Trump, and he didn't get there.
Yeah. In my
he was armed.
And those were all boy Secret Service agents, so they actually did their job.
In my final thoughts, one, to add to the whole shindig here of weird fucking things, the shooter was also in a BlackRock commercial. Not only that, Matt Carricker, who is also known as Demolition Ranch on YouTube, he also gave his statement on the shooter because this jackass used a Demolition Ranch shirt, or was wearing a Demolition Ranch shirt. So unfortunately, he got roped into the shit, which is not cool at all, because he has been very much apolitical with his channel. He's just a firearms safety and firearms fun channel on YouTube. Great channel. But the fact that these fucktards, honestly, if it was planned, and I'm not saying it was, I'm just saying if it was. I'm not in any of the camps that are right now. I'm trying to remain objective on it. But if they have actually, they do not realize that there would have been no coming back from this. If they had assassinated Trump and the media and the president said, oh, you just don't calm down, don't do anything stupid. Fuck you. You killed our president. You're going to die. That is what would have happened.
In Minecraft,
there would not have been any warning. January 6th, as much as they all love to say was a terrifying, traumatizing shit, it would have paled in comparison to what people would have done if they had succeeded in killing Trump. If they had succeeded, this country was at war the second he died. Because I guarantee you, nobody is going to freaking let that sort of shit stand. This man was leading in the polls. He was the best shot against Joe Biden. And now suddenly he's no longer there. Fuck you. We are not living with this man for another 4 years. That is what the mindset would have been. Now, I am not, folks, I do want to clarify, I am not calling for violence against Biden right now. But I am simply saying, if President Trump died on Saturday, this country, we wouldn't even be having this stream. There would be a fucking war going on. We wouldn't, our shit would have been going down. Fucking Washington, D.C. would be in flames.
No, I don't believe that.
I accuse a lot of people of living in echo chambers. Yeah, that, and so please, just if you want to write me off and say I live in an echo chamber, that sounds insane. Okay, even if Trump died, even if he got shot and died, that's not happening. Sorry,
dude,
I don't know what world you live in. I don't know what world you live in. It sounds a little fucking nuts, though.
So no, there haven't been these mass protests.
It is nuts. I'm sorry. I'm not picking up a weapon because a
well, no one said that you would be picking up the weapon, but there would be.
Okay,
nobody said
There haven't been. Where have these mass riots and burnings, a la Black Lives Matter, all of Antifa, and taking place? In fact, many people have said, "Look at how peacefully the people have responded." To this,
keep in mind they peacefully responded because he didn't
die. Well,
he didn't die.
It's good. It's good that he did not die. We cannot go around assassinating political candidates, let alone a former president. This is very disturbing, and I reject this idea in the same way that I reject the idea that this was staged, that this was all set up by Trump or his lackeys to get sympathy or to try to promote or to stage.
Well, those people are just idiots trying to
deflect. No, but I don't see the difference between the people who believe that and the people who say that, oh, it's a massive government conspiracy to assassinate. Look, if you want to do that, just go. There's probably better, easier, and quieter ways to get rid of your political opponents if you're going to go all Roman Empire on this.
So
you don't have to
killing a presidential candidate on live TV and sending the message that his ilk won't be tolerated. You don't think that's enough of a message here?
Public
assassination. If you want to get rid of your political opponents, there's probably easier and cheaper ways than to get some random kid, as you were saying, some random kid, have him go through all of these hoops and ladders with the hope, quote unquote,
literally ladders,
to go and actually make the shot here. I think it just seems to go through too much trouble. Too much could go wrong. I mean, it did here, if you believe this conspiracy, that Trump just moved his head just a little bit, just enough to just nick the ear. It's still
let me just ask you this:
concerning that he got hit at all. It's a failure. It's a failure of protection, and people just focus on the fact that he's a presidential candidate. That is true, but this is a former president. This would be the same way if you targeted Bill Clinton, if you targeted Barack Obama. Look,
nobody did target Barack Obama.
I'm pretty sure Barack Obama won't have.
I mean, they tried to get rid of him in other ways, but I don't understand what you mean by they tried to get rid of him in other ways. They weren't trying to.
They tried to fucking arrest him. They tried to impeach him. They tried all sorts of shit to make sure he couldn't run.
I've opposed both impeachments. I think those were politically motivated in the same way.
The
Clinton impeachment, the Andrew Johnson impeachment, all the presidential impeachments so far have been politically motivated.
Right.
Dude, they were trying to get Trump out of office before he was even in office in 2016. They were saying they were going to fucking
it's not because he's this great savior. It's not this because he's great savior.
I'm not saying he is.
Not even the argument.
He didn't.
It's not because he's a great savior. It's because he's not part of their club, and
he didn't win the election. Hillary lost it. There's a difference. In the same way that Biden didn't win, Trump lost the election. And the reason they put Trump up was because they figured that with Trump as
there just seems to be the disconnect here. Why is it seeming a conspiracy theory that there's people in our intelligence agency and government who would want Trump dead? Why is it such a leap to think that there may be somebody in a high position of power who does not want him running this country for the next 4 years, who would think to the extreme point that, we may have to 86 him? Why is that point a conspiracy theory for some people?
In the same way
that's not too much of a conspiracy
theory.
It's
the same idea that Trump has this in the bag. He does not have this in the bag. It really depends on the electoral votes. And that's why I always say Pennsylvania
he's not winning this?
Well,
no, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that he's going to win.
Exactly. Rick's right. It's not guaranteed. It's not. You and I, as Trump supporters, believe that this is done and over with. Again, we are dealing with an instrument that at least tampered with elections, if not wholeheartedly faked the last one. So we need to make sure. We need to make sure that we're aware of the monster we're up against. Now, let me just preface this about the discussion we're having right here. We're all agreeing that this is an extreme circumstance, right? And that this is a complete oddity and rarity, and frankly, as Rob pointed out earlier, a shocking event that has set every American back on their heels, that this is even possible. I want to remind you that we patrol battle zones with drones that fly in the stratosphere and shoot Tomahawk rockets that travel at near sound-breaking speed, okay? And that was not involved here. So this, what we need to put in perspective is, let's say that it is incompetency. We are not doing everything we do to protect a battlefield to protect the president. That should be a big thing, especially now that we have so many people in this country from outside. Every president should basically be traveling with the Abrams, an Abrams tank. That should be the new presidential limo, is an Abrams tank. Just fully ready to go, put a champagne cooler bucket in the back.
With the Pope Mobile top, I hope.
Sure,
There's
why
just
not?
one
The glass
problem
top.
with an Abrams tank. Any freaking AP round from a 50 cal with an explosive tip is douching that damn tank.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm not up on my military tech, but what I'm getting at is that right now, let's all assume that this whole thing is a complete oddity, and the response should be overboard. We should 1,000% be caking every presidential person in every layer of armor we can think of. Digital,
they even
physical,
gave Robert
spiritual.
Kennedy Secret Service now. They actually
They
gave him
finally
Secret
gave.
Service.
What
Yeah,
I
they
wanna
finally
say
gave
about the
RFK
Civil-
some Secret Service. Yeah.
What I want to say
Given
about the
his
Civil
father's
War thing.
past, I think it's warranted.
Well, I just want to say this about the Civil War thing. Would Trump getting shot trigger the Civil War? No.
No.
The impending celebration by the left would. There is no way supporters of Trump would have tolerated people in the streets having parades, burning effigies of Trump, burning flags, celebrating his death. Like the headless Trump thing that the comedian woman had, that would be brought out and paraded around.
They would have
These people
celebrated.
would have been animals.
The media would have celebrated. The entertainment world would have celebrated. People all over the country would have celebrated, and they would have antagonized all of his supporters,
Exactly.
who especially know that the circumstances of what would have been his death were extremely suspect to begin with. So it's basically, we're going to celebrate that your candidate got killed, and by the way, don't you
Yes.
dare even tell us that we may have had something to do with it. It would have been the whole gaslighting that we did with COVID, of saying that, hey, don't you dare say that these Pfizer companies are putting
It's
stuff in
racist
these
to call
shots
it the
that are
China virus.
Yeah, don't you say that these Pfizer companies are putting stuff in the shot that are making people killed. Don't you dare be a conspiracy theorist. Don't you dare be a conspiracy theorist that don't say, like, we've gone through the circle over and over again. And for me, it's just like, I don't know. I know that this thing has woke up a lot of people. I just feel like there's a whole lot of people who are still asleep to what's going on. It's like, at what point is this going to have to kick off, or you guys start paying attention to what power play is happening here in front of our very eyes? They're not even hiding it from you in plain sight anymore. People are just denying that it's happening.
People ask, what's the end goal? Right? What would be the point of this? Why would you do this? Why would you cause that civil war to happen? We saw in COVID that as soon as the U.S. economy had a blip, had a hiccup, the entire planet fell to its economic knees. We cannot be out of service, period. So as soon as the civil war kicks off, anything that could be defined as more than a local skirmish, the UN Security Council immediately dissolves our sovereignty, moves in with China, because China's on the Security Council now. They'll be the foot army, because they're useless for anything else. Can't do anything else. They'll be the foot army to hold the streets down while they control the unrest in America. And the UN will then become the governing body of the United States, and we will continue to have on and off terrorism that supports their control. This is the point. We are the last nation that possesses the ability to thrust off the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, even the UN itself. At any point, our president can walk in and say, this is done, get out, it's office space now. And that,
Okay, and I actually...
And he knows how to deal with that.
Honestly, I
space.
believe a lot of that is possible, like right now. I believe that is a potential possibility. However, that would be considered a conspiracy theory.
Correct.
Because again, all you have is conjecture, as to quote True Detective. And it's like, trust me, I absolutely don't want that to be true. But I'm also not going to keep my head buried in the sand when, you know what I mean, all the dominoes keep falling.
Well,
So-
if he had gotten his head gotten his head blown off, they would have made the point, and then there would have been no conspiracy theory. It would have been absolutely true. Everyone would have accepted it.
Here's my thing, and I
Everybody
know
would have, because 2 weeks ago everybody was like, tweeting that, hey, you know what? The Supreme Court just said that Biden can assassinate Trump whenever he wants. So, like,
that was
this has been brewing for a long time, and the fact that it actually happened, wow, a lot of masks certainly came off. Just like COVID, they put them on. Now they finally everybody's mask has come off, and it's fantastic. And as somebody who actually agrees with shooting some people, the government, I can say that this is actually probably exactly what needed to happen in America. I hope this kickstarts is something that makes the world actually change in the way that we all know should be right. And, if you want me, I don't know if we're going to talk about Jack Black in a minute, but I got shit to say about him. I got a whole thing.
I mean, we can go through the whole Jack Black thing just real quick. I mean, look, the whole thing is that his stupid Tenacious D buddy basically said that the shooter shouldn't have missed Trump. And like I said, this is the reaction of these people because Trump didn't die. So you can only imagine if Trump was actually dead right now, what their reaction would actually be. It would have been far
Satan would
worse
have given
than
him
what
a
he
bigger
actually
cake.
Exactly.
There probably would have been people who were cheering and celebrating.
No, there definitely would have been.
I don't think
there definitely were.
I don't
Mark
think
Hamill was one of them.
I don't think there would be these
Joyce
mass
Takai was one of
parades
them.
and releasing fireworks and all of this. I mean,
There would have been people in your city of El Paso, Texas, who would have been celebrating.
I don't doubt
that one stumpy dyke from Orange is the New Black was one of them.
Yeah,
I don't doubt that they probably would. I would also say that we would have two or three things going on had the worst happened. First, we would have been preparing for a state funeral, as all presidents would have a state funeral. Second, the Republicans would have to have picked another candidate. They're not just going to be empty and just present no one for dear Uncle Joe to win or to go up against. So who would they have picked? It would have been very chaotic, but it's still very alarming. It's very alarming to think that a former president and presidential candidate came inches from being gunned down in front of everyone. And all the people who think that this was staged and that Trump did this to get publicity or to get some kind of sympathy thing, a man died. We have to remember that. There was a man who attended a rally and he committed no crime, and he's not part of some conspiracy.
Well,
So
remember, the
what you're saying
stupid
is
people,
people who believe this
made that.
they're now accusing him of murder.
Well, remember, the stupid people who were mistaken, Trump will set it up himself. They said that before they realized that somebody else had actually died. So I was like, they were trying to get in front of this whole thing by making it seem like, oh, no, it's because he isn't dead, that he set it up himself. Here's what I'll say here. And these are two tweets that I have propped up. This one's back in May. And like I said, this is going all the way back to them trying to convict him to get him off the ballot so that he couldn't run. And then that whole thing failed because he got immunity. And that says, we all know this is a last-ditch effort to keep Trump from winning the election. If this doesn't work, the only option that they'll have left is to shoot him. I said that on May 30th. And then this was another tweet that I said literally less than a month ago here. This was after Biden went egg brain at the debate, and everyone got exposed to how bad he really is. And I said, yeah, at this point, they're going to have to shoot Trump. That's the only way to keep him out of the White House at this point. Biden is cooked. And I said this multiple times over the last few months. And then guess what happened last Saturday? Someone actually took a shot at Trump and nearly killed him. So, like I said, for people who are paying attention, this is so blatantly obvious to see what's going on here, the power play that's happening in our country at the moment. And I don't think that falling asleep and turning a blind eye and pretending like everything is just politics as normal in this particular situation is helping anything. We got to wake up and see exactly what's going on in our country. It's not even subtle anymore.
I can agree that it's gotten very poisonous, but I don't think that it's this massive conspiracy CIA thing. And of course, I also think that Oswald acted alone. I just think, I mean, the man's 78. If you want to get rid of an old man, you don't have to go through all of these hoops and ladders. I mean, this man's 78. You don't. He's older, even though he's apparently remarkably good health. I just don't think that it's a massive conspiracy. I don't think the Iranians are in on it. I don't think that. I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't think it's this conspiracy. I don't think that there'd be, mass chaos, burning down whole cities for all of this. I just don't believe that. But
no, nobody.
All I can tell people is go. All I can tell people is go to the battle box. All right,
That's right.
Go to the battle box.
Great American battle box. 2 men enter, 1 president leaves.
I will say this though, a lot of people love to say, "Oh, it's the right. That's the party of violence." And over the last fucking 8 years, we have heard nothing but frickin' or tell me where it says that protests are supposed to be peaceful. Oh, it's a mostly peaceful protest. I'm surprised there aren't more uprising in the streets. Donald Trump needs to be eliminated. This man can't allow to be in the White House. I don't fucking want to hear a goddamn word about January 6th from the media or any of these fucking pieces to shit like Joy Reid, Nancy Pelosi, or any of these fuckers in the media. Because the second they say, "Oh, Trump incited an insurrection," I'm going to say, you guys incited a presidential assassination.
Well, I do agree somewhat with Orange on this point, that when Gabby Giffords got shot, they immediately blamed Sarah Palin because she put up that target, and we all knew it was supposed to be metaphorical. Biden says, we need to put a bullseye on Trump, and then this happens. I can see why people would draw some conclusions, but you have to have the same standard. No, I don't think Sarah Palin was not insinuating that you should target political opponents for assassination. I don't believe dear Uncle Joe would either. But if you're going to accuse one, you are in perfect position to accuse the other. So you have to be careful what standards you use.
Well, I mean, if you're still in this
president.
box of Democrat and Republican, then yeah, probably that makes sense. I'm looking at this from a much larger perspective. This is not Democrat and Republican that we're seeing play out here. If you're still looking at it from that lens, you're not really paying attention to what's actually happening in this country here.
There's no reason to even consider that there's a conspiracy going on the outside and things. I don't even have to go into that. The fact that we had the entire entertainment apparatus take off their masks and say, thank God or whatever, I wish this man would have actually been shot, right? The entire Hollywood apparatus has completely said this, is completely complicit in saying this for 8 years. Now, for somebody who's a fucking clown, right? Who's a fat clown with a beard and everything else, my 15 minutes of fame came from fucking getting bled out in Berkeley for all of this shit.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you remember from all of this is that they had no problem, and Hollywood had no problem supporting it, had no problem demanding that it continue. They had no problem making sure that it continued with the George Floyd riots, with the BLM riots, with every other fucking riot.
They were funding it, literally.
They had no problem giving money, handing it over, and having Madonna and Cher show their oily little twats to fucking make sure everyone fucking comes together and brings them all the cash that they can to burn down every city and every town that you lived in, every single corner store that you grew up with, every single pole hall that you fucking went to during whatever. They fucking burnt that place down to the ground, and they were laughing in your face for 8 years over this. And as someone who's bled for this, and a clown who has bled for this, it's a ridiculous idea that I got to share that same clownitude with a guy who goes out and makes sure Satan hands over a birthday cake and says, thank God, I wish you would have, I hope next time you hit the motherfucker in the head with a bullet and take off half of his brain.
Look, this is nothing new because we had, or was it during the George W. Bush era, we had Death of a President, a faux documentary where that was a fantasy. That was a living out the fantasy of
Bush never had. Here's the difference. Bush never had.
Hitler. He was literally the new Hitler.
And nobody went to the streets to fight for Bush. Nobody went to the streets. There were wars in the streets over this man.
No, I'm saying that this whole concept of getting
we already practiced the Civil War
because they disagree with you has been going on for a long time. And I would just say that I think the reason they've built this up and it's gotten to this horrible level is because they've built up Trump into this satanic figure. I didn't vote for him. I've never voted for him. I don't agree with him. But I also don't think that he's going to, I keep being told, terminate the Constitution. He's going to install he's going to be a dictator. He's going to lock me up.
And this goes into exactly what we're saying here. This is what's been said now for the last 10 years. So when you tell the entire world he's a dictator, he's Hitler, he's going to kill people, he's going to
kill people over it because Trump's not the only one. For 8 years, for 10 years, people have died for this fucking idea.
And somehow we're shocked that, people are inspired to kill him.
Yes, but there you go. Inspired.
We are live. Let's use our live voices because we do have people.
I'm sorry.
I
apologize.
I remind everybody we are live.
Here, bastard.
Well,
no, it's no. I mean, when you actually give your life, and sorry, I mean, when you actually give your life for this whole thing, right? And you actually give your life for a concept that you believe in, like freedom and liberty, and you bleed for that idea, I thank God that somebody took a shot at Donald Trump, because now he gets to bleed and experience what I went through, and now he's a real fucking patriot, and I'm so happy.
There you go, man.
I'm so happy.
That is a very weird way of saying it, but okay.
That's so happy. I'm so happy because now he has the balls. Now he has skin in the game. Now he has something for me to fucking believe in. And if you want to have the Civil War, if everyone's worried about the Civil War and everyone's concerned about all this stuff, guess what? I am the one who's going to fucking be in the middle of the front line, just like I was in 2017 and 18, and just like I was whenever I needed to go in there, because I'm here to clean up a city that is completely corrupted and decayed, and I wanted to, please God, have Donald Trump come down and help me clean up this town, because I live in a city that is literally shit needles everywhere. And I'm tired of that, and I don't need to have a fucking, some celebrity high five themselves because they want to, live vicariously through assassination. Ugh.
Like I said, I mean, it's frustrating to see, because I mean, look, I get what you've been through. We've all seen the video. We all know what happened. I know plenty of people who, especially during that time of like 2016 to 2018, had pretty much like had their entire like livelihoods destroyed just by supporting this whole idea of, like I said, freedom and liberty, this whole thing that we thought that we had here in this country, until we found out the hard way that wasn't exactly the case. And now we're getting to this point here where we're clearly at a boiling point, and where there's clearly a force in this country that's trying to prevent us from attaining for what we always thought that we always had. And now we're watching it happen, and it's like it's frustrating to a point where it's like, guys, you have to see this for exactly what it is. I mean, we've been in this like 10 years now. It's like, I get it. Maybe some people didn't understand how serious this was in 2016 or 2017, but we just been escalating and escalating and escalating. It's like, how many times does the snake have to bite you before you realize that it's a snake? Right?
Well,
it's kind of that whole point that I'm trying to get to. It's like, you guys got to start seeing where this is all going here.
And I wanna make a point too, because as Spencer pointed out in the chat, it isn't just the left that's been inflaming things. There's a lot of people that say that Joe Biden is, the second coming of the Antichrist, and he's a devil and all this, and a clone. I've seen that one go around. He's a clone, and so again, he's an old pervert. We know this. He's an old, disgusting pervert that doesn't know where he is and poops himself in front of the Pope. We know this to be true. Let us take a moment and think now that this man who's been in office for 52 years, gentlemen, he's been in public office for 52 years. That's not the time that he was like alive. That's the cumulative time he has been a public official. Okay?
That's 8
Over
wars.
half a century this man has had power. Okay? Now, I want to point out to you that he is pooping himself in front of the Pope. He is forgetting where he is. He wanders out of a press conference mid-sentence. He's losing a debate where he looks at like a terrified old man watching a demon emerge from a cloud above his head, okay? About to eat him like that rhino in James and the Giant Peach. Can you think of a more fitting end to a man that lived so evil of a life, such a manipulative, disgusting life? I think it's beautiful that he's going to be remembered as a dirty diaper, pervert, baby sniffer weirdo. I think that's perfect.
I think,
and I'll end it on this one right here, because this is Biden. Apparently, this was a few minutes ago. He's speaking at the NCAAP and whatever the case is. Now, keep in mind, this is the guy who was just calling for everyone to calm down here not too long ago.
He was pissed off the entire
which we all know. Yeah, this is literally
current.
just went out like 2 minutes
He
ago.
was supposed to make this. He was supposed to make this speech to a man, for a president who is supposed to be dead today.
Yeah. So
in front of the NAACP.
It's very low.
Oh yeah, I had to turn it back up. My bad.
The pandemic was especially devastating to black communities. Oh, I know, because in other countries, other communities of color, that economic crisis drove up black unemployment, decimated small black businesses, and you peacefully protested. George Floyd's murder. Donald Trump called for the National Guard to go after him. What the hell's the matter with this man?
What is he? This is nonsense.
Go figure.
I'm sorry.
A guy who spread the birthless and lie against Barack Obama, saying he wasn't born in America and he wasn't a U.S. citizen. The pandemic.
Like I said, they're actively lying to you, and they're still lying to you. And some reason, people are still buying into the lies, and it's just
Where's your fact checking, CNN? Where's your fucking fact checking?
That's very strange.
You were the fuckers that actually said it was peaceful.
The peaceful protests during all that, it's very strange given he's the kindest, wisest, most decent president we've ever had. I'm absolutely astonished that people want to rewrite history so blatantly. The peaceful nobody remembers a peaceful protest. People remember the burning and the overall chaos of those
but if they can get away with lying to you, which they have, because people
for 10 years
with these lies, and then they're like, oh yeah, no, those protests were totally peaceful as things were burning to the ground. There was video, we watched it in real time of everything.
And people died
in flames, and multiple people died, not just one. Multiple.
No, I said
remember that sheriff who just retired, like died or whatever, or police chief, I forget what
in Oakland,
dead body on the street.
in Oakland.
Yeah, that was fucked up. That was so
I
fucked up.
Compilation.
You look. I mean, they came close to literally storming the White House.
All over the country, and maybe there will be. People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing
Hey,
up
look,
the
it's oily
White
vagina.
House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, but remember, guys, it's a conspiracy to think that there may be somebody, at least one person in the government who may want Trump dead.
And these people put masks on you, made sure your grandparents died alone, and made sure that they were dancing while doing it on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But if it saves just one life.
Oh, don't even fucking joke about that shit anymore.
Imagine all the people.
Wait, Orange, just for the record, you know, my life was pretty much wrecked by it, okay?
Dude.
No.
I know it was
I almost
a
lost
joke,
my
man,
job.
but
I
God
could
damn,
not
that's
give
old.
my mother a proper burial because of that. So
It sounds like you should probably be more angry than you actually are then.
Yeah, but I'm not about to
Yes,
burn
be
down
angry about the things you can't control. That'll definitely help.
I'm not going to burn down.
I mean, I get coping mechanisms, man, but that is getting old.
No, I'm not going to do that. And people know I'm being sarcastic when I say such things. But you know, they've been whipping this up for years because again, they portrayed this one individual as this ultimate evil, and they've built up this image. It's just so crazy. but they need to be held responsible for the words. What was that? Words have meaning. What was that?
Words have consequences.
Consequences.
Uh-huh.
So they need to accept that if the temperature of the room is high, it's because they are the ones who have been turning the thermostat up to unbearable levels.
To shooting back
And
to
the
shooting
right back
point.
to doing it.
And the attempted assassination, I think, is sadly the culmination of all of this hysteria that has been built up. It's just
I'll just say this one last note here. With everything that's going on right now, Trump got extremely lucky on Saturday. But like I said, we're still about 3.5 months left to go for this election. I mean, look, they've tried it once. It wouldn't surprise me to see them try it again. I mean, like I said, we still got a long ways to go, and this is where we're at now. So, like I said, I expect things to get far worse before they get any better because, like I said, we're watching a power play out in front of our eyes here, and whether people want to acknowledge it or not, and that's just the way that it is. So, final thoughts here where we're at things. I'll go ahead and kick all you bums off of my show because I'm almost past my bedtime.
I think we already had our final thoughts.
If you want to joke, if you notice that before the bullet went by, he was talking about illegal immigration. So illegal immigrants actually saved Trump. He should bring them all across.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, be careful. I don't want to run one down like I almost did.
Stop coming here, then, please. Stop it.
Well, we can tell them that they won't listen though. But let's go ahead and circle this one out of here and roll you guys out. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to promote anything that you have coming up, and this time I'm gonna start with our good buddy Cider for joining us here on this very special episode. Melting in that extreme heat over in Maine right now. What is it, like 80 degrees over there now?
It's 75, and I'm still like boiling. So
it's 109 in El Paso.
Boo-hoo.
It's a dry heat, though.
Awful. Sounds awful. But so we have a growing Japanese audience over on Bounding in the Comics. Feel free to come on over and use Google Translate. It's best guess anyway what they're saying. It doesn't do a very consistent job, but feel free to come over and interact with that. We're covering the mess with Assassin's Creed, and we've just discovered recently that the guy that is the singular driving force behind this Black Samurai thing lied about it the whole time. Made it up whole cloth. Since 2016, he's been at this. So he ran away, too. He deleted all of his social media as soon as he was found out. Now we've found out his stuff is actually in academic books. So now there's this huge tidal wave of problems that are circling the globe as this information goes out. So tune in to Bounding tomorrow to find out more about it. We'll have a video up to cover it. And of course, Jacob's reviews are over there. So if you like how Jacob had the concise kind of viewpoint of tonight's topics, he does that with the reviews over on Bounding. So see you there.
I gotta admit, I'm kind of jealous and envious of all the Japanese attention you and Nerdigans have been building over the last few months. So I feel obligated. I know, so I feel obligated to like find like some Korean internet people and kind of create like a Korean bloodline counterstable, so that way we can start the whole like Korean Japanese war over on Bounding. I think that'd be very.
I'm down for it. Let's go.
Yeah, so I gotta get moving on that one here. Also, let's go ahead and introduce our good buddy Orange Hat. So, what do you got coming up? Orange Hat reviews, custom hat.
Well, tomorrow, I'm going to be on Jade Shadow's channel for the 1s and 2s for July. It's going to be Mad Max, the original. Then Thursday, exclusively on X, it's going to be The Legend of Tarzan with Bill Skarsgård. Friday is Orange Hat Uncensored. Sunday will be me and Kate going over the finale of The Acolyte, which I'm seeing some very disturbing rumors right now. So after I get off of here, I'm going to be watching it and seeing if they're true. Then Monday is Monday Night Rants. Unfortunately, last night's rants didn't work out so well because apparently my Chromebook got way too much slowed down from all the browsing and shit that I do for content creation and whatnot. But also Tuesday is a horror theme for July. I am doing different types of horror. The next Tuesday is slasher horror, so serial killers and slasher flicks and whatnot. And Tuesday nights are the Barroom podcast, and then next Thursday after this one is Last Voyage of the Demeter on X and Mad Max 2 on Jay Shadow's channel on Wednesday. So yeah. Also, I'm trying to reach 2,000 subs.
All right, Mr. Eddie Brock is sitting over there with the last sunset in California, I guess we can say there. What do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have coming up here?
Well, the Looney Bin's about to pick me up pretty soon, so I gotta make this short. Let's see. Oh, go to fandompulse.substack.com. There's a lot of really great news there, I hear. We talk about comics and all sorts of stuff, video games, everything. Apparently, there's a really big story going on with Neil Gaiman and sexual harassment and abuse and everything that a lot of the other places don't like to cover, but that's neither here nor there. So I suggest you check it out, fandompulse.substack.com. We'll come right to you, and you'll be able to enjoy the pop culture at war coming along.
All right, then. Rick.
All I've got is my continuing Golden Girls retrospective, and I'm also getting ready for the Turner Classic movie Summer Under the Stars, where I'll review a movie for almost every star. I'm not doing all of them. I have about 4 or 5 ready for next month in August, and I'm still working my way through some more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And more reviews. I published my Quiet Place A1 review, and I've got Twisters coming up, so that's it. And more baseball games.
All right, Rob.
Lots and lots of sequels. So I did 6 hours of streaming today, so I'm pretty tired. But it's been fun. Over on my YouTube, if I get my video put back up, pending appeal, you have all 3 parts of my 100 best westerns of all time. So that I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I just have some reviews that I am getting out still. But you know, that's just playing catch up. And then I want to try to continue doing my podcast. I want to cover the Lex Friedman Kevin Spacey interview that's about 2.5 hours long. So just look for that next week.
All right, then letting you guys know what I got coming up. So tomorrow night I will be on the 01 stream, but I might be late. I'll probably be on there like around maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, because I do have a screening for the Twisters movie, which comes out tomorrow. So I'll check that out, and I'll give you guys my impromptu review of that. But I will be on that show tomorrow, so check out the Bounding in the Comics YouTube channel. I will have some more reviews coming up as well. We will be reviewing that movie next week here on the shows too, the Twisters movie. So that'll be our movie review for next Tuesday. There will be no Friday Night Movie Club this week. This Sunday, we'll be back with the Bible Lens podcast. If you have not checked out my last episode, go check that out. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from it. I was talking about the reality of losing your salvation, which you can't, because that's what the Bible says. And we'll talk about this whole idea that if you sin too much, you can lose your salvation, based on biblical evidence and biblical stories about how that's absolutely not the case whatsoever. Go out there, check out that episode, and then we got that coming up on Sunday. Got a new episode coming up this week as well. And then outside of that, there's nothing more I can think of. I know there's a lot of catch-up work to do. I have edited all the episodes from that retro wave of Nickelodeon that we did about a month ago. However, I just had to figure out a way to get it up here on YouTube, so that may require just a little bit more editing on my side. So that's why it's been taking so long, because, you know, Paramount, they're out of money now, so they're being a bunch of dicks on YouTube about this content. But we'll find a way to work around that. So that's everything that I got coming up here. To everyone who joined us on the show here tonight, Keith over on our Rumble side, Neo Zoic, who else we have here? Quest Cage, Spencer, Leslie, Vanya, Alex, Eamon, I just said Alex was evil, Maurice, Black Meadow, Bishop, Doba Fett, Henry, Michael, Internal, Fistful, everyone who joined us here on tonight's show. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you guys hopefully Wednesday night when we do the 01 stream over at Bounding. If not, I will see you guys on Sunday for the Bible Lens, and next week here for the Bar Room. We're back on our normal time, normal schedule. And I guess for this special episode, instead of doing the traditional ending, I'll just play this here, because like I said, I'm not expecting this to get monetized anyway. Might as well end the show on a positive note. So here we go. Adios and goodbye.
Many men like old men wish death upon me. Blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. The president is what I'm destined to be, but Democrats trying to take my life away. Put a hole in my ear, now you gon' see. Put a call into all my security. Better watch how you talk when you talk about me, cause I'll come and take your life away. Many men, that's a lot of men. Many men wish death on me. Lord, I don't cry no more. Don't look to the sky no more. Have mercy on me. These pissy Democrats put money on my head. Go get you refund, motherfucker, cause I ain't dead. I'm the orange in the fruit bowl that ain't been found. I'm the Republican king, and I ain't been crowned. When I rally, something special happens every time. I'm the greatest, something like America in its prime. I rip the concrete jungle, I ain't never been humble. This race high, cause I stay ready to rumble. Got a temper, Joe, go ahead, lose your head. I'm crazy, I'll grab Camel up between her legs. I'll walk around, cap on my head, chip on my shoulder. Till I've won this presidential race, pussy, this beef ain't over. Many